Okay, we should be going live right now. Just going to give it that provincial couple of seconds to make sure that the website loads up. There it goes. Cool. All right, guys. Well, welcome. We've got Rick Hoy and Jeff Daniels on the line. We are going to be talking Bayou Battles 2017. Rick, why don't you and Jeff kind of do the intros, tell us about the tournament, and tell us what we're going to be doing tonight.
Okay, so we're talking about Bayou Battles. So it's the big GT here. This year we have 45 people scheduled to play Kings of War for us, and 14 right now scheduled to play Bolt Action. So we're going to do 2 events this time around, and we'll check my sanity at the end of the weekend to see how it goes for us.
Do you at least have the turn-in times between the 2 events staggered? Or are you going to have them turn in at the same time?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
The only thing that's going to end at roughly the same time Saturday morning. They'll both end right about lunchtime, but then after that, things are staggered enough so we won't be pulled separate directions to do anything. So I was at least smart enough to do that. Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen guys try and do cons before, and they'd never take that into account and end up falling all over themselves trying to do matchups. Daniels, you've been quiet, man. What are you up to?
Not much, man. Just priming models and getting ready, going over scenarios.
Nice.
We got an interesting gambit of them this year.
Do you guys have a lot of new scenarios this year, or are you just kind of polishing up the ones from last year?
There are only one or 2 carryovers from last year. 1 I know for certain. 2, actually maybe just 1.
Well, cool.
Yeah, enough that there's some challenges, yes.
Nice. Well, I know Ryan's going to be getting here in a little bit, so we'll do the thing that we always like to do on this thing to kick it off. What are you drinking and what do you drink out of? Rick, it's your tournament. Let's start with you.
All right. I am drinking a Santan. It's an IPA. It's out of Chandler, Arizona, and I'm drinking it out of a 2015 glass from BJ's. It just happened to be the first one in the cupboard that I grabbed.
Nice. Jeff Daniels, what do you got?
I'm drinking the Shiner Homespun Cream Ale out of a Little Rock Lost 40 glass.
Hey, you like that cream ale?
I don't normally dig them. This is super sessionable.
Is it too sweet?
No, that's why I don't like a lot of them.
Gotcha.
No, it's pretty mellow. It's closer to a lager than anything else.
Yeah, I had that. I drank that back in, I think, not Christmas, Halloween last year when we were handing out candy to the kids. I remember that being pretty good. I, on the other hand, you guys are down in Houston. I can't believe you didn't jump at this opportunity. I'm drinking a Buffalo Bayou Sunset Saison, Saigon Sunset. Sorry, so it's like a coffee beer, and I got that in a bomber for like $3. So they were selling those. They mismarked the price on it. It's supposed to be like $13. They put it for $3, and we're like, oh, well, let's just grab all of these. So I'm drinking a nice 8% beer for $3, and I'm drinking it out of my A&M Stein.
Imagine that. Yeah, Buffalo Bayou's got some hit or miss stuff, but most of their bombers are pretty solid.
Oh, dude, this one is good. Bees nuts, whichever one it is. That one's probably the best one I've had that they do. But if you like coffee, this Saigon Sunset's pretty damn good because it's all like Vietnamese vanilla and Thai coffee and stuff in it. So pretty good.
I like just a little too hot this time of year for those though.
It's raining and it's cold in my house. Well, if you guys are ready, let's jump into it.
Let's hit it.
Cool.
All right. So the first matchup today, table 1, we have a late challenge match.
It's very late.
A re-challenge because of a douchebaggery.
Not on my part.
The original challengee dropped. So Mr. David Sweat, the best sportsman out of Lone Wolf, originally challenged Robbie King, who had to drop off. So he decided he was going to challenge some dude by the name of Mark Cox. So that's table 1. And I've got Mark's list, so I'll just go ahead and start off with this guy. Mark is running Ratkin as usual. Gee, what a big surprise. And he's got, let's see, a regiment, a horde, and a legion of tunnel slaves, followed by a regiment and a horde of shock troops, then a regiment and horde of blight, and just horde of brutes, then 3 regiments of the Vermintide, a shredder, 2 mutant rat fiends, 2 warlocks with Bane Chant upgrades, 2 swarm criers, and a flying demon spawn. So a little different than other Mark lists that I've seen in the past.
Yeah, I decided to take the Jeff Daniels approach and go, fuck items. I don't want items.
I love it. At first, I thought I was looking at the list you give to your user or your player.
Oh, the hidden list when you're hiding stuff? Yeah. It's a good way to throw people off. This list is not going to do great. So, yeah, just throwing that out there.
I don't know. I'm looking at the scenario and knowing what the scenarios are, knowing how we'll get into that in a minute. David Sweat's list. So a little more. He's running the herd. He's got a pretty standard herd list here. He's got a horde of Brutox with the Brew of Haste. He's got 2 hordes of Lycan and a regiment of Lycan. One horde has the Brew of Strength. The other has the Blessing of the Gods. 3 beast packs for chaff. Oh, and look at that. It's like he clicks that button. There's 2 stampedes there. One with sharpness and one with hate. I got a nice little Brutox to round that out. 2 shamans, both mounted, which I like. One with the Shroud of the Saint, the other one with the Fireheart amulet. Both, of course, with heal. And then a Dark Lord's Onyx ring on like an alpha. So speed, and more speed to your grind, and more grind.
Yeah. So he emailed me the list a couple of days ago, and I shot him mine, and I outdrop him by 3 or 4, which with not having a lot of items, that's not a significant disparity in how many drops I have to how many he has. He doesn't have anything that's slower than 7. Nope. Everything he's got is 7 and higher. Everything I've got is 6 minus the flying rat. Yep. So I've got to position him to make charges, and then I got to counter punch. That's essentially what I got to do. So waivers are really bad for me. I don't know. In just kind of looking at his list, I think it's a well put together list. I really do. Those stampedes are going to be a pain in the ass because I don't really have anything that can deal with them. In a straight kill fight, I think he wins. I mean, I got to give him like a 16 or a 17 on kill. And again, I don't know what scenarios you guys are putting at us, so I have no idea. But I'm interested to hear what y'all think.
But we will say that the first scenario does use the mascot fashion. Bit at that. How about?
There are 4 scenarios that will use the mascot for this. We left the 5th one open so we could do a judging competition for them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So my opinion, I think, Mark, obviously you know what you're up against, and you're probably right. It's just going to come down to, how well you're going to be able to set things up for you. But yeah, this could either be over really quick or it could be over, pretty close to the end. It could be. I see it going either way. I don't really kind of seeing it being, just solidly in one guy's favor, but not totally wiping someone out. So. I think David, I'm probably going to give him like a 13-7, something like that.
Yeah, with that heal, I mean, I don't see how he doesn't keep units on the board with me trying to plick away at it, because I don't really do a lot of damage fast. I'm kind of a slow grind army, and he's got that heal backing it up.
And you've got, what, 3 units with the rallying? Is that about right?
Let's see. Everything with Horde has rallying, so I've got 4 there, and then I've got the 2 rallying on the demon. So I should keep a little bit of rallying kind of everywhere, but even then, rallying on something with toughness 3 or toughness 2, what are you really buying yourself? Another maybe roll. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I guess terrain could make a big impact against me rather than for me, because he gets to walk through all of it. So fences are pretty much what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah, well, we are running this terrain the exact same way as last year.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Tables, so the players will be able to set up the terrain a little bit ahead of time. So that'll be another interesting part of the setup to the game. That'll be part of your strategy trying to set this up.
I've kind of overplayed my cards then, because now the first thing that David's going to grab is going to be the damn fences.
Well, David does have to be a little careful because he doesn't have neither the Brutox nor the Guardian Brutes have Pathfinder. So, I mean, he does have to keep those out of the woods and out of the difficult terrain and whatnot. But other than that, he's got free range for the most part. You're going to checkerboard, layer, and try to counterpunch, especially trying for those soft flanks. And the problem, if I'm playing this right, you make sure that units delete. So you're doing multi charges. Knowing what the first scenario is, I'm going to go David on this one. But Mark's obviously a seasoned enough player, and David's pretty young. I know how I would play it. I'm going to go a cautious 13-7 along with Rick because, yeah.
Cool. Landslide against me. All right. Are we running to table 2, or you guys want to keep talking?
Don't fail us, David.
You're already cursed, man.
All right, let's go ahead and just jump into table 2 then. So table 2, we have Aaron Chapman against Jack Green.
All right. Aaron Chapman is rocking Varangar with Abyssal Allies. Gee whiz, I've seen a very similar list to this recently on table 1 at Lady of the Lake. So Aaron has taken oh, man, good Lord. Okay, so here we go. He's got 2 troops of gargoyles. He's got 2 hordes of tortured souls. And those are the allies. Then he has a horde of Bloodsworn. They have the Headstrong and Fury roll from Korgon. And then he also gave them the Pendant of Retribution to really punish you in case you decide to actually kill them. He has 2 hordes of the Fallen. One has Brew of Strength. The other one has Helm of the Ram. He has a regiment of Mounted Sons. They have the Headstrong and Fury rule also. And then they have the Wine of Elvenkind, which I think is a upgrade over the list that I played against last weekend. Direfang Riders with the auto take Brew of Haste to get them up to speed 7. They also have Headstrong. They also have Headstrong and Fury. He has a Magus with Banechant 2 mounted. He also bought that guy Weakness and the Inspiring Talisman. And then he brought the Scald with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness, also mounted. And then, just to keep it soft, he brought Hersha. And that is Aaron's list. And this list dominated at Lady of the Lake. Obviously, he's got 250 more points or 300 more points to work with, but this list just ran over people. So don't be surprised when Aaron takes it and does better.
Aaron's got the list to beat from everything that I've looked at so far.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced this list in real world settings. It's not fun. It's a brick, and he hits you right in the face with it.
Yep. So he's matched up with Jack Green, and Jack's rocking 3 regiments of running Forces of Nature with no allies. He's running 3 regiments of Naiad Heart Piercers, 1 horde of Naiad Ensnarers with the Brew of Strength, 2 regiments of Forest Shamblers, a horde of Naiad Worm Riders with the Brew of Haste, so moving at 9.
Nice.
A Centaur Chief with the Diadem of Dragonkind. Not crazy about that. Naiad Stalker with the Harpoon Gun. A Winged Unicorn with the Lightning Bolt upgrade and the Vermilion Amulet. And then a Salamander Veteran with the Wings of the Honey Maze. So a Ghetto Pharaoh there, which I like. And then 3 Beasts of Nature with Vicious, 7 attacks, and Lightning Bolt 6.
Do they have the fly upgrade or just the Vicious and the Lightning?
Nope, just Vicious and Lightning,
Okay.
which is
All right.
pretty much the way I. Oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
that's-
Two of them have fly.
Okay.
I don't
I
think
remember
that's
we were kind of
needed, though.
talking about that. Yeah. So, Rick, thoughts?
On lists alone, I think Aaron's got a really tough list. Jax is definitely much more of a finesse kind of a list to be playing, and he did play at Lady of the Lake, right? He was up there last.
He was up there with us 2 weeks ago. I don't remember if he played this list or if he had something a little different.
Okay. I've looked around at Forces of Nature lists, and it seems that there's just so much you can. That's a lot of it's like really good, or it's like a lot of decent options, but not a lot of great options in that list, that army. And so it'll be kind of interesting to see how these units can kind of all work together. Just looking at the lists alone and knowing, how much of a tactician that Aaron is, I think he's probably going to win this one pretty easily. And just kind of overall, just given how strong that list is, he's going to be a strong contender for the whole weekend. And I'll just say this: the Bayou is going to be wide open this year. If you compare like who's coming this year versus who came last year, the top 4 players last year are not showing up. Like 6 out of the top 10 and 9 out of the top 20 are not able to come this time around. And so that includes the 1st and 2nd overall last year, 1st and 2nd general last year, 1st and 2nd sports, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of players' choice, and the best army are all. So it's wide open, and I think Aaron's probably going to be one of the top contenders this year.
Jeff, you want to give your insight?
Well, if Jack was old enough to go and drink, I'd just offer to take him for beers.
2 years away.
Yeah, the problem is Ryan has run, or Aaron has run a similar nature list to what Jack's running, but it made it even worse. There's just not enough staying power. I mean, Jack's going to end up having the castle back and try to counterpunch, but there's so much speed in that abyssal list that it's going to be probably a clean sweep for Aaron.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got to talk with Jack and John a lot, especially after the event where we were hanging out at the brewery. And Jack's only played like a handful of games. So he's going to be walking into this kind of not really knowing how much of a beat dick list this is that's running at him. And he actually, his list is good with those ensnarers in there. That will play well. The problem is that they don't play well against things that hit on 3+, and a lot of Aaron's army hits on 3+.
Yep.
And a lot of Aaron's army ignores terrain. So those ensnarers that typically like to hang out in forests and make you hit, -2, he's only going to be hitting -1. And if he double charges, man, even some single charges can pop those things in a single shot. So Aaron's list can be on top of you in 2 turns, basically. In 1 turn if you move up and do things wrong. So yeah, I got to agree. I think I saw this matchup when we were doing the setup stuff, and I was like, oh, poor Jack.
I wasn't happy about it.
At least he gets to go down to the kiddie pool and play with everybody else that takes a hard loss.
Submarining, there's something for it.
He's gonna be able to prime condition to submarine from this one. I give Aaron the full 20 on this. And cool. So we're oh yeah, go ahead.
Missed the first 5 drops Aaron had.
Oh,
I don't think it matters. I think without those 5, he still rolls this up.
Yeah, he trust me, they don't get any softer, those other 5 drops. Yeah, so cool.
Sorry, Jack, I'll see game 2.
Hey, so we've had 2 landslides on the first 2 tables. That's cool. All right, table 3. I know there was a slight
I want to
shift.
join the landslide on table 1, by the way.
Yeah, I figured you did, you dick. What was the shift? We've got table 3. Who do we have playing?
So table 3, we had Nick against Stephen Firth.
Okay, so I've got Steve Housenick. Let me pull him up. It's battle for the best Steve. All right.
Yes.
So Mr. Housenick is rocking undead, pure undead. He has a horde of skeleton warriors with Banner of the Griffin. He has 2 troops of wraiths. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 regiments of mummies. He has 2 hordes of wights. One has Helm of the Ram. The other has Blessing of the Gods. He's got a Cursed Pharaoh with the wings. Look at that. They said nobody would take him. He's taking him. He's got 2 Lich Kings. The first one is mounted, has heal 6 and Shroud of the Saint. Nice. The other one is mounted and has heal 6. And then he's got Lady Iona. And that is his 2,500 points. Pretty good looking list.
Okay, he's going up against Stephen Firth, and he's playing Abyssal Dwarves. Has 4 troops of gargoyles, followed up by a regiment of the Abyssal Half-Breeds with the Brew of Haste. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 hordes of the Abyssal, 1 with the Caterpillar, 1 with the Dwarven Ale, and 1 with the Wine of Elvenkind. Then he's got 3 half-breed champions, and then he's got Braki Barca and Basusu the Vile. So,
Of course.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough list. He's got a lot of staying power. Yeah. Eesh. I think it's going to come down to Mr. Housenick can play with his surging. And if he can get something to work with that, he might be able to get some, out of position and be able to gang up on them accordingly. But the 4 hordes of the grotesques is going to be pretty hard to maneuver around, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll jump in real quick. I've gotten to play with Steve in a partners tournament, and man, that guy just sees surge angles really, really well. And when he sets them up and rolls them, if he can roll right, he can stay in this game. It doesn't look like he's got a lot of staying power when you just kind of glance at it, but golly, he's got so much surge. There's 24, 30. He's got 33 surge in the army. And depending on how he splits it up and partions that out, he can really do a lot of surge shenanigans that might catch Steven off guard if Steven hasn't played against a lot of surge. I'm guessing Steven's played a fair amount of surge, just with the guys he's practicing with a lot. But even then, Housenick's finding things that caught me off guard, and I was his partner. So I think it'll be a tighter game than maybe the numbers or the papers let on, and I could see kind of a 12-8 thing going on with this one in favor of Firth, but I wouldn't be surprised if it flipped the other way too. So kind of more of a draw, honestly, but 12-8 one way or the other.
Yeah,
I've got it.
I was just going to say my prediction with that is even with the right surge shenanigans, like you said, you got to parcel it out correctly. And with 2,500 points, even if you had split that 30 surge, you got to make sure you have it in the right spot at the right time. That's gonna be a challenge, I think. So I'm going to go with Firth, and I think it's going to be a little bit, 14-6, 13-7
Gotcha.
probably.
And don't forget, those guys that have the surge are mounted, and they also have heal too. So like when he's not surging, he can always heal, and healing anything with defense 5 is a pretty big win too.
And it's heal 14.
True.
Yeah. It's a lot of heal.
So I've played Steve's list many times. I've played against Firth. I played against Firth's variation of this list when it had 3 mortars in the back in place of the 3 half-breeds and only had 1 half-breed. Here's the funny part I was looking at here. So I was looking at all the points that sucked into those half-breed champions and Barca and Vasusi the Vile. None of that counts for anything in cock rules. because none of it generates any unit strength, and none of it generates victory points later on. So I was like, okay, well, Steve's going to be. Oh no, look, Steve's got 800 some odd points in individuals himself.
Yeah.
So that's a wash. Looking at the unit strength values between the two, I think Steve's got a slight advantage because of all of the troops that Steve took, or Firth took.
God, you got to pick one Steve and stick to it.
So I've played against Steve many times, or Firth many times. I've also played against House Nick all the time. He comes out to the house. I know how House Nick plays this list. The problem is you have two pretty good tacticians here. This will be an interesting game, but I have a feeling that there will be a mistake made one way or the other, and that's going to probably landslide it or close to it. I'm going to put this at like a 14-6 in Steve's favor.
Steve Houseman or Steve Firth?
Yes. Nah, I'm pulling for my boy Housenick. Come on.
All of the above. Ryan, you get the final word, and you still need to tell us what you're drinking and what you're drinking out of. So,
I'm gonna go with Stephen Firth. I've got him 13-7. He's got 4 gargoyles and 3 half breeds. Redirection to block up those surge angles and protect his flanks pretty well. If he had 2 packs of gargoyles, I'd be like, well, he can get, but 4 lets you do what you want for protection and even throw some away sacrificially. Birth in a 13-7. I am drinking no label Elda M milk stout out of a Bayou Battles glass for reasons.
Good choice. On both.
All right.
So
all right. I think we're
now
ready
moving
for the next one,
on
right?
to
I think.
table 4. We have Dennis against Chris Davis.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. I've got Nick's list. Let me pull that up. My folders like to keep closing themselves while I'm reading. All right, Nick is rocking Trident Realms, pure Trident Realms. He has 2 hordes of the Naiad and Snares, one of them with Measured Force, the other one with Crystal Pendant of Retribution. He's got Placoderms with Brew of Strength. He has a horde of Water Elementals. He gave them the Quicksilver Rapier, probably just had 10 spare points to get rid of. Naiad Worm Riders with the Wine of Elvenkind. Man, Nick, I'm liking this list, dude. 2 Leviathan Banes, 2 Coral Giants. He's got a Naiad Envoy with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness. He has a Thule Mythican with Banechant 2, Surge 7, and the Inspiring Talisman. He's got a Placoderm Defender with the Wings of the Honey Maze. Yeah, we've been talking about that one. Yeah, that was a 18-hour car ride where we brought up that guy. Naiad Worm Rider Champion with the Dark Lord's Onyx Ring. Dude, I like this list. This is a nifty list. He's got a real good toolkit with this one. Let's hear what his opponent is bringing.
So he's facing off with Chris Davis.
Yep.
He's running he's running Twilight Kin. 4 regiments of the Reaper Guard, 1 with the Blade of Slashing. 2 troops of Blade Dancers. I'd really like to see more of those. 2
But
units.
he's got them in troop form?
Troop form, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, they're fast, hit good. I like them. I'd like to see a troop or 2 more. Anyway, 2 regiments of Dark Knights, with 1 with Pathfinder and 1 with Strength. 1 Dark Lord on a Pegasus with the Blade of the Beast Slayer. Love it. 1 Lord on a Black Dragon with the Blessing of the Gods. Love that too. 1, 2, 3 High Priestesses of the Abyss. Wow, they're all over the place. So 2 mounted. He's got a collection of lightning bolts on everybody, blood boils on 2 of them, inspiring, Fireheart, and boots of levitation on the one with blood boil. That's interesting. I like that. Okay. And rounding it out with, an assassin with the Jar of the 4 Winds.
It's a good take too.
It's an interesting one.
You get to use that nimble and piercing at
Yep.
plus 12 range. It's pretty good.
It's a big point drop.
Ryan, do you want to start us off? What do you think?
Chris had a lot going on, and I'm sure he knows what he's going to be doing with all of it. But to me, it sounds like he's got 3 Swiss Army knives where maybe he needed 2 knives, a spoon, and a fork. I really like Nick's list. Has a lot of the fun aspects of the sorely underrated Trident Realms list. Looking at you, Jeff. I don't know. I may have missed everything Chris is trying to do in his because there were so many items or so many upgrades and so many items and so few choices. I'm going to give Chris... No, I'm going to give Nick a 13-7, I think. I sort of like this. I can see the synergy easier in the Trident Realms.
Gotcha. I'll jump in next. Jeff, can you tell me how many drops Chris had again?
14.
Okay. All right. It sounded like less, but
No, they're pretty close to the same.
A lot. Yeah. Most of his army hits on 3s, right? I know the troops do. The knights
Almost
do.
everything but the casters, which nobody. If they're in combat, things have gone horribly wrong.
True. And that kind of goes back to what I said about the previous army that was taking a bunch of naiads. Is they want to see people that are hitting on 4s and 5s, 6s. They don't want to see people that are hitting on 3s. So, that hurts a little bit. But I still feel like he's got a lot of tools in this kit, man. Those 2 coral giants can sneak up on stuff. Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm tempted to go with Nick. I really like this list, and I think it can play well against what Chris is bringing to bear. I think Nick has a couple of things he can sneak out and catch Chris with to kind of block things off that may surprise him. You wouldn't typically expect something like this or that to block you, but I think Nick could pull it off. Yeah, give me Nick. I'll take like a 15-point win, a 14-point win.
I'll jump in here on this. So I think terrain's going to be a huge factor in this.
Absolutely.
If Nick gets to place the forest or an obstacle or something like that favorably to those ensnares, yeah, this is going to be pretty handedly Nick's. That said, yeah, so the problem with Chris's units is, it's 12 attacks, 12 attacks, 12 attacks, if he can get them all in there. 20 attacks and no crushing strength. Though he's got some.
Well, he's got some Bane chance and stuff, right?
No, there's no Bane chance.
Oh, he's relying on Blood Boil. That's right. He's going to do a little damage and then go and pop it.
And so the problem with that is all of the regen, the Blood Boil is just not going to do what he needs it to do in this matchup.
Yeah.
And then you have the defense 6 Placiderms just saying, "Come on, bring me what you got." I think Nick's going to go to the middle of the table and he's going to sit there and let Chris pound on him. And I'm going to put it at a 14. What is that? A 14-6 in Nick's favor?
Yeah, I tend to agree with a lot of what's been said. I think terrain will be a big piece of this. I also think that Chris's list, it hits hard, but it doesn't have a lot of defense or as much as he might like. So I think he's going to have to rely on, double charging, kind of getting the flanks, trying to take, units out on one. I don't think they're going to be able to last in a big drawn out combat because of that. And I just know Chris usually has at least 1 or 2 games where his dice just totally fail him. He just kind of has that bad luck. So I think Nick's probably going to pull this out. 7. I think it'll be close for Wallet out at the end.
Nice. All right. Let's jump to the next table. Who we got?
Wait, Ryan, did you want to pop in?
I started.
Yeah, he started.
Okay.
All right.
I know I'm not memorable. It's okay.
Okay, we're up to table 5 now, and here we have Mr. Hambone, Richard Vaught, against Jeff Radigan.
I've got Hambone's
So-
list, so let me walk you through his Empire of Dust. He is running with a regiment of skeleton warriors, a regiment of skeleton archers with the scrying gem. He's got a regiment of mummies with a casket, enslaved guardian archers with the brew of keen eye. He's got a regiment of revenant chariots. He's got a horde of worm riders with the brew of sharpness. He has a pair of balefire catapults. He's got a reanimated behemoth. He's got one of those pharaohs that come with wings standard. He's got a cursed high priest with breath 12 and vicious, a mount and the fireheart, and a second high priest with the grimoire of unspeakable darkness. And just for funsies, he's got an idol of Shobik as well.
Yeah, playing a lot of Empire Dust, I kind of like that list. It's got a lot of finesse to it, but we'll see what he gets to go up against. He's going up against Jeff Radigan, who is running Ratkin.
Oh, okay.
So he starts off with a horde of tunnel six with the pendant, 2 hordes of shock troops, one with the potion of the caterpillar, one with the dragon shard shield. Then he's got a troop of claw shots, a horde of brutes with the blood of the old king, a regiment of vermintide, a troop of hack paws with the healing brew. Interesting choice. He's got 3 shredders, and 3 death engines, all with the vial of sorcery upgrade. And then he's got a warlock with the inspiring talisman, a swarm crier with the warbow of Kaba, and to top it all off, a flying demon spawn.
He just had one thing of claw shots?
He's got, yes, 1 troop of claw shots.
Okay. All right.
Jeff, I know, hasn't played a whole lot of Kings of War. He's been quite busy with. I think he plays a little bit online. He finds some opponents and plays a little bit that way. But he's also the master at maximizing a list or finding a list that plays to his and working off of that. Using list got a mix of things, but basically those 2 hordes of shock troops are really all of his staying power. Everything else is much more of either a throwaway unit or basically something that's going to kind of get in the way. So he's going to rely on a lot of ranged attacks, I think, going in. So it'll be interesting to see how that works against an army that has a little bit of healing and a bit of surge in there too. Richard's list isn't very fast, so it'll be kind of an interesting mix to see how it all works out, because I think Jeff will be able to get in a few rounds of shooting before he's able to get into, before Richard's able to get into combat. I also think terrain will be a big interesting part of this game too, because Jeff's going to want the shooting lanes, and then Richard's going to want to make sure he has some clean shots to get across the field, because he doesn't have anything with Pathfinder in his list. So even though Jeff hasn't played a whole lot, I also don't know how much Richard's been playing lately. So I think Jeff might pull this one out. That's my guess, but it'll be close, probably a 12-8, 13-7, something like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know Jeff hasn't played a whole lot. To my knowledge, Richard doesn't get to play a whole lot either. So they're probably pretty well balanced with the number of games that they actually get in throughout the year. Jeff's list actually sounded pretty good, and then it just kind of sounded like he missed a couple of includes. Like the Dragon Shard Shield, I probably wouldn't have put on the shock troops, because that's typically meaning you're going to sit there and stand for a turn. So unless he's expecting to take a long-range charge, like they don't really need that shield, because they should be moving and charging and attacking. Mm-hmm. The shredders, man, dude, if those things start hitting, it can be over turn 2. because he could just blow things apart with that, and then the vile sorcery on top of the death engines. You guys are playing cockpack though, right?
Yeah.
So those things are going to be down to defense 4, make them a little easier to kill. Cover is going to play a big role in this game. If Richard can stick into cover, he can make Jeff's life a little harder on those shooting rolls. And I think that's where Jeff is planning on doing a lot of his damage. Those shock troops and those brutes are kind of intimidating as far as combat goes, but they can fall pretty quick. Even with the shield, they can fall. So, yeah, the hack paws. I didn't get that. Those things die so fast that they're never going to get a chance to use that healing brew. Usually,
but it's just really expensive chaff.
Oh, dude, yeah, and they look so good, and you want to use them because they're fast and they're vicious, but they're defense like 3, and they die in a stiff wind. So I stopped using them.
I also know that Jeff is using a proxy army, so it may have been something that he just had something they could use as models for. So that's probably why that was.
Well, I mean, when you initially started reading the list off, I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like a list that, Todd Serpico had run in the past, or a list like Eric Nelson runs.
I was about to say, honestly, I thought he bought Eric Nelson's army by chance when I'm looking through what's in here and stuff.
Pretty close. Yeah, the Shredders.
Minus the Shredders.
Yeah, I don't think Eric had the Shredders, and then he had more claw shots, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty close. But then again, like, there is that optimal build for rats. So we've spent a lot of time talking about that. I don't know as much about Empire of Dust, so I can't really critique Richard's list all that well. But even then, like, a little good surge might catch Radigan off guard. So I'm going to go with Radigan, but I don't think it's going to be a landslide victory unless his shooting just goes bananas for 2 turns. So like a 14-6 or a 13-7 in favor of Radigan. Ryan, what do you think? Jeff?
I'm going to jump on the Hambone wagon on this one. I don't know that Jeff has played enough in tournament environments with Kings of War. In Kings of War tournaments to be very different beasts and sort of the psychology of going into them. Really close to this list of Hambones before, and there's a surprising amount of finesse he can put into it, and it can be surprisingly fast if you're not expecting it. You measure for surge, and then, oh wait, he's got something else.
Yeah, did he take the coffin upgrades on any units?
Some of them.
Just one.
He's got them on one. The mummies. Just the mummies. Interesting to see the chariots too. That's not considered a fantastic choice, but it's not a bad one.
Honestly, I like their chariots. They're cheap. They're cheap as chips for what they do. They can reach out and touch you. Honestly, I like them better than the Revenant Worms if they're used correctly.
Yeah, they've got a surprisingly high nerve too.
So
Worm Riders.
Yeah. I think those are a point suck. I think people look at them. Their stat line's great, but I think they're a trap for their points.
Well, he's also reusing like his old 8th edition army too, right? Like he's repurposing it. So he's going to use the models that he has, not necessarily because it's a good choice or a bad choice.
Yep.
So I think that drives a lot of it also.
I'll give him a 12-8.
And that idol. I was going to say that idol can help him out quite a bit. It gives him the Iron Resolve, and he's able to heal a little bit more. So it'll help him hold around a little bit longer. It just depends on how much he's going to be able to stick around.
Yep.
So I'm gonna call this for Richard on a small victory, like a 12-8, somewhere in that neighborhood, only because Jeff needs to get his tournament cherry repopped, and it's coming out of the gates with against a Surge army, and Richard does know how to play this. I mean, I've played against this fairly similar list at Alamo one year. It's deceptively strong. It's got a lot of punch to it. Honestly, it'll come down to shooting lanes probably and luck of the dice, but I think Richard can pull it out.
Sounds good. All right, we got everybody out, so let's jump to the next table. Who do we got?
All right. Table number 6, we have John Hogg, I think that's how you pronounce his name, out of Austin against Jordan Lawrence.
Out of Fort Worth. All right. I've got John's list. I'll go through it. He has ogres with goblin allies. So here are the goblin allies. He has a horde of trolls. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 maw beast packs. Those are all in troop form. And then he has a flaget for the inspiring. All right, moving on to the ogres. He has 2 hordes of warriors. One has Blessing of Gods. One has the Bach, which is Blood of the Old King. He has a legion of warriors. They have the Potion of the Caterpillar. He has 1 horde of boomers with Chant of Hate. That's a pretty good ad. I like that. He has a troop of Red Goblin Scouts. He has a regiment of Red Goblin Scouts. He has 2 army standard bearers. One of them has the Healing Charm. He has a Red Goblin Bigot. Actually, he has 2 of those. Both are mounted. One has Blade of Slashing. The other has Mace of Crushing. So just the 5-point reroll a hit or reroll a wound. And then he's got 2 giants to round it out. So that is John's list.
Real quick. So if I'm reading that right, there is no inspiring in that list.
For the ogres?
Oh, I heard 2 standards.
Oh, there they are. Never mind.
Standard.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got 2 standard bears for the ogres. Okay. And then he's got 2 goblin bigots for the goblins, but
nobody cares about
he's going to use those as chaff more than likely. Yeah. He's got a lot of chaff.
A lot of chaff.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's pretty good.
He's got a legion to
8,
protect.
9. He's got 9 pieces of chaff. That's awesome.
No, he's actually got 11 potentially. There's no reason not to use those army standard bearers as chaff potentially. Those goblin bigots.
I could see late round, but I would go. You want to keep your army standard bearer because you want your ogres to stay on the board, but the other stuff, I would throw all that away. That's 9 out of 1, 2. Y'all keep going. I'm just going to do a count real quick.
Okay, so he's going up against Jordan Lawrence, playing Twilight Kin.
Yes, he is.
And so he starts off with a horde of crossbowmen with the Heart-Seeking Chant. He's got 2 regiments of the Blade Dancers. And then he has 3 regiments of the Dark Knights, 1 with Caterpillar, 1 with the Holy Hand Grenades, and 1 with the Helm of the Ram. And then he has 2 regiments of the Dark Side Chariots. He's got 2 of the Bolt Throwers, 2 Hydra. He has a Dark Lord on the Black Dragon with the Blessing of the Gods. And then he has a Standard Bearer on a horse. So,
who wants first pick?
I'll go. That Kin list looks like it's the game that should not be mentioned. A perfect list for that. The double Hydra, the dragon, Anyway, I'm looking at this. You got the great shooting. You got the Kin are faster with the bolt throwers. They can take out chaff early, or even better, cause a inopportune waiver, which I like honestly doing better than I like popping chaff.
Same here.
I'm not real keen on the Hydras. They're okay, but they're just a weird unit to use. Honestly, I think those Knights end up chaffed most of the game. And I think you might be real close to your first draw here. I'm going to put it 11-9 for the Kin, but I think it's going to be a really close match.
I'll go ahead and jump in. I one comment, Jeff, that the Knights are probably not going to be able to get through a lot out there. Even though they've got a little bit more maneuverability, there's still only one of them has Caterpillar.
Well, the hand grenades on one of them is an interesting ad. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that tells me he's expecting to dance and wait. And
he's expecting to see a little bit of chaff too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think terrain might be a big impact on this one, and because you got the boomers and all on one side, and you got a fair amount of shooting with the bolt throwers and the crossbowmen on the other side. So it could come down to terrain, down to just deployment. Somebody makes one mistake, suddenly you're going to be out of position, and you may not be able to recover from that. Especially if Jordan messes up on the deployment, he's going to have to fight through a lot of chaff to get back to where he needs to be. So I'm actually going to call this one for John, but again, probably a 12-8, maybe like even an 11-9. It's going to be pretty close.
Gotcha. The one that'll be interesting is how Jonathan or Jordan handles the Legion. Yep,
I think that's the wild card in this. John's bringing a Legion. That means he's going to have practice with deployment because you got to base your entire army around where you're putting that Legion.
Yep.
You got to make sure it's got avenues to move through. You've got to make sure terrain works in its favor, not against it. If you don't do that, it's going to be a cluster. But being able to do that and base his whole army knowing where that drop's going to be, out chaff at deployment, and work around that. I'm going to give him a 12-8.
Gotcha. Hey, how many drops did that kin list have?
Let's see.
14.
14.
Gotcha. So he's only like 4 or 5 less drops than John. I've gotten to play Jordan a lot. Jordan's actually a really fucking good player. Jordan also, for some reason, has like this curse when he plays at a GT. He just drops games that he shouldn't drop. He's going to have early rounds of shooting against the ogres, so he's probably going to start wiping out chaff there. God, I've never seen anybody use hydras to such a frustratingly good level as Jordan does with his hydras. So those things, if he plays them right, they will be an X factor in this game. I agree that Legion is pretty daunting, but with the amount of shooting that Jordan can pull off for the first couple of turns and then start really using his range, because he outranges most of this stuff. I mean, the scouts he doesn't outrange, but everything else, I don't know, the goblin bigots too. But everything else other than that, Jordan outranges everything in John's army. So Jordan should be able to set up who's going to be getting first turn charges. I know John's going to be trying to wave and chaff. Like Jeff said earlier, an advantageous waiver is actually better than a kill in some cases, especially when you've got that Legion. If you can waver something in front of the Legion, yeah, sorry, man, you're not moving the Legion for a turn. But it's not that John doesn't have a good list. He does. It is a very good list. God, all that chaff. I love this list, John. I'm going to go with Jordan. I'm going to give Jordan a 14-point win, and every time I pick Jordan to win, he loses. So you're welcome, John. Have fun with your win next week. But yeah, I got to go with Jordan. I think Jordan has the tools and the capability to deal with this list. Even though John has a really good list.
It is a really good list John's got.
I love chaff, and John just has like all the chaff. He's like, I'm going to take all the chaff. So, and
it's a variety of chaff.
Yeah, it is.
Some of it's fast, some of it's slow, some of it's, but he's got a lot of nimble chaff, which is awesome.
Yeah, last second. Oh, I'm just going to throw this out here, sort of chaff. Yeah, it's great. Good list. Good list. All right, who do we got next?
So table 7, we get up to our second challenge match, and here we have Justin Balusik against that salty pirate Cubon.
The ball sack versus the bone.
Yep.
Ryan, you want to go?
I had turned my microphone on. I was talking and no one was hearing me.
That would help.
There's a trick to this, right? So Justin is running. Oh, it's like I'm used to being muted or something. He's running with Swain's Villain Rangers in their troop form. He's got a horde of martyrs with the Hammer of Measured Force. He's got an Order of Redemption. He's got 2 regiments of those. One's got Caterpillar, one's got the Brew of Strength. He's got a troop of the Villain Reconnoiters. He's got 2 regiments of the Orders of the Forsaken. Exemplar Redeemers. One's got the Loot of Insatiable Darkness. One has the banner. And then he's got a Forsaker with the Pipes of Terror. And that is all he's got.
All right. And Q's list. Two hordes. He's bringing the Trident Realms with his nifty little pirate hat. And rounding that out, he's got 2 hordes of Naiad and Snares. One with the Hammer of Measured Force and one with the Crystal Pendant of Retribution. A horde of Placiderms. It's like we've heard this before with the Brew of Strength. A horde of Water Elementals with the Quicksilver Rapier. Oh my God. A horde of Naiad Riders with the Wine of Elvenkind. I love that. 2 Leviathan Banes. Those are great. 2 Coral Giants. Fantastic. Naiad Envoy with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness. I'm having to check here to make sure I'm looking at the right list here.
Yeah, because it sounds exactly drop for drop, item for item with what Nick.
Holy crap, it is. So
Did they do the same list?
Mythicin with the Bane Chant. Placiderm or Bane Chant, Surge, and Inspiring Talisman. On the Mythicin.
Yeah.
Placiderm with the Wings of the Honey Maze, and a Centurion with the Onyx Ring.
No fucking way. Really?
It is the same list.
Okay, somebody
I
needs
think
to
the
tell
only
me.
thing different is the Hammer of Measured Force.
Nope. That was there.
Was that on there?
Yes. No fucking way. This is amazing.
Awesome.
Somebody please tell me that they like have some sort of bet going on who's going to do better with it. Who cares? But they have got to have a bet. Nick, go find Q. He's going to be the biggest guy in the room. Bet him a bottle of something. You guys figure out who got like better battle or whatever throughout the weekend, and that's the winner. That is fantastic, dude. Drop for drop, item for item. Fucking
that's first time.
I've never seen that. Unless you mismarked the lists, like there's no way. That's insane.
Well, I will say this: I do not like the Pendant of Retribution he had put on that horde. What I found is that
no, fuck you. That's amazing.
No, the unit doesn't die enough.
So what? Then you've got 50 more points that your opponent doesn't get.
Maybe I'm not.
And if they do die, then it's fuck you.
I ran that. I wasn't crazy about it.
Oh, dude, that's great. I love that. That's a fucking great item on them.
All right, so it's Ballsack and Q. They're gonna drink. It's gonna be Friday night. God, you guys want to call it or actually analyze this dog pile we got here?
I got to go with Q, man, all the way. Like Q's got an identical list to somebody else. He's going to be fighting for rights. Justin's going to show up and get drunk. He doesn't care. This makes me happier than like actually reading off the list, like seeing this. Thank you, both of you. This is fantastic. Sorry, Ballsack, you're going to lose. Just sorry, it's too perfect. All right, I'm done. Somebody else.
I don't think Q cares either, just for the record.
He will now.
There's one thing to consider, and that is Justin's greatest strength doesn't matter when you play Friday night. You can creep along, and they don't kick us out of the hall until like midnight 30. I'm working on Justin's mascot. If you've been wondering what the hell this snail is.
Oh, it looks like a testicle, which is perfect for Ballsack. Make sure you paint
it flesh covered.
Give it little hairs.
I'm just gonna block it myself. I've got a couple of shaves between now and then. I'll give it to Q.
All right, I'm gonna call. I played Ballsack last week. Yeah, he's still, he's still a great game. I love Q's list. I ran almost an identical list to it. It's solid.
That would have been 3.
Oh my god, make that the ringer.
But Ballsack's got the tools to deal with this.
No one's saying he doesn't. I'm just gonna say he's gonna lose anyway.
Oh no, I'm saying that because I know he's gonna screw up with terrain placement and completely give it to Q.
He's gonna fuck himself. I blocked myself in.
Damn it. He's gonna whine about it all night.
Of impassable terrain in my deployment zone. Well, why did you do that?
I forgot I couldn't go over obstacles.
Rick,
you're up, man.
Make this
considering
serious,
that,
man.
Okay, Justin's first list submission only had 2,000 points in it. But I hope when he's packing his army up, he grabs the right list to check and make sure he brings enough of everything.
Oh, even better.
So I'm going to call this one for Q, just because I think Q's going to get in early. He's going to be a little bit more rested. Justin's going to come in. He's going to get he's going to hit the bottle pretty hard, and I think Q's just going to be able to outlast him in that regard. So.
Well, same as Lone Wolf, Justin is bringing 2 handles of margaritas for Q.
Oh, nice.
All right, so that was more or less a landslide then, right?
Yes, it
Nope.
is.
No,
No,
that's right.
It is. Anytime Q falls down,
Ryan was the decide. All right, moving on to table number 8. Here we have Ethan Schnell against Tim Gleese.
I'll go ahead and run Ethan's. Ethan is running elves. He has a horde of kindred archers with the brew of Keen Eye. He has a horde of Therenian Sea Guard with the brew of Courage. A horde of forest shamblers with the brew of Strength. He's got 3 troops of Silver Breeze Cavalry, a regiment of Stormwind Cavalry with the Potion of the Caterpillar, a pair of Bolt Throwers, Banechant, Fireball, and a Pussy, a second Mage with Banechant and the Pussy, and then a Dragon Kindred Lord, because why not, and a Tree Herder with the Medallion of Life.
Legit. I got my boy Tim over here, Tim Gleese. He's running his goblins, vanilla goblins all the way, with literally 20-something drops. He's running a horde of spitters, 3 hordes of trolls, 3 maw beast packs, regiment of fleabag riders with the brew of strength, regiment of fleabag riders with the helm of the ram, 2 trombones, 3 rock lavas, 1, 2, 3 flaggots, 1 with the banner of the griffin, 1 with the sparkstone, 2 wizards with 2 with blood boil and lightning bolt 3, and they are mounted. 2 mincers, 2 giants. Scrolling down. Okay, yeah, that's it. So I'll go on this one. Tim's list, I've played against it a lot. It's a rock solid list. I'm looking at what Ethan's got going on over here, and I think it's pretty much not what he wants to face, because what Ethan's rocking here is pretty similar to my salamander list. It's an elf version of my salamander list, and Tim handles that pretty well. He's got all the tools, and he outdrops him by probably 6 or 7 drops at least. 6, 7. Yeah, so I'm going to put this in Tim's court, and I'm going to put it at 16-4, because Tim will cough up some points somewhere. I will say, Ethan, I've invited your dad out to play twice now. We're in the same neighborhood. Get him out here. Get you some games under your belt.
Apparently, you need to invite Ethan over.
I do. I do like Ethan's list a lot. I love the Silver Breeze Chaff. The Forest Shambler Horde is fantastic. Vanguard gets it out there, contesting the center of the table right away. But Tim's list is going to be up there over the weekend.
I'll jump in. I agree. The only thing I don't like on Ethan's list are those cats. Those things are just so useless. They're not nearly as good as the bulldogs that the Abyssal Dwarves have, and it's not for lack of trying. Those cats with Elite, they look good on paper. They never do anything. So it's points he probably could have rerouted into something else. Again, just a minor critique. I agree. Tim is a great player and a very good tactician. Why he can never seem to, get the monkey off his back and take like a top general, I can't ever understand it. But maybe this is his year. So I'm going to take Tim. I'll take Tim with like a 16-point win, maybe 17. Who knows?
I'll give Tim the 17. The one other thing I'm seeing about Ethan's is his mages are on foot, so they're not going to be able to keep up with the majority of his army that's going fast. They're going to have to sit and sort of babysit the hordes. You know, Bane Chant's a very useful thing to put onto small cav units.
They're still movement 6 with a 12-inch range. I mean, they're effective 18-inch range. They don't have to be nutted up right to them.
Okay, fine. You've talked me down to 16.
Yeah, I want to check one thing here really quickly. If I remember correctly, last year, Ethan surprised a couple of people with how well he actually did in his game.
Oh, it was great. He was talking smack to people. I was kicking their
all
ass.
over the place. Yeah.
Which, if that happens again, I'm happy for that. That's going to be great.
Alamo.
Is Ethan the younger one?
Ethan is the younger one, I believe.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, so he understands the game. I know he plays against his brother a lot, but that's basically going up against Dust. I think he understands his army, and I think he understands what his army can do. But I just don't think he has enough options to get through the goblin list. I agree that Tim's probably going to win this one. I'm going to put it somewhere around 15-5. I think it's not going to be a complete blowout. But I think there's a lot of gobos to get through, and I just don't think he has quite enough tools in his arsenal to get through all that. Okay, so
Last thoughts.
All right, moving table number 9, we have Brian Kokit against Matt Serpico.
All right, I've got Brian's list here. Oh, Brian. All right, 2 hordes of Boomer Ogre allies with Trident Realms. 2 hordes of Boomers, an Army Standard Bearer, and a Red Goblin Blaster. Those of you that haven't seen it, he made it a boat filled with explosives. It's pretty awesome. So at least he has themed his allies into his list. It says Twilight Kin or Twilight.
Keep trying.
Yeah, the Trident Realm. 2 hordes of Placiderms, one with strength, one with the banner of the Griffin. 2 red troops of River Guard with the extra hand weapon. A horde of Naiad Worm Riders with the Brew of Courage. 1 Nooker. Should be 3. Coral Giant.
Those Nookers.
Oh, they're so good. An Envoy with the ukulele. The Thule Mythicin with Blood Boil, Bane Chant, and Inspiring. And that Trident King. Rick?
Is it Rick?
Yep.
Uh-oh. He may have fragged out.
Uh-oh.
He looks deep in thought.
Somebody.
Yeah. Do you have Matt Serpico's list, Jeff?
I do. It is right here. So
you're gonna have to read it off because I only got the list that I was handed to read. So it'll be
no problem. Oh, look, Rick's moving. You ready, Rick?
Yeah, I'm here. If you guys can hear me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. You just kind of stopped there for a second.
Yeah, I saw you guys stop too. So I'm like, oh, is it on my end or your end? All right.
So me.
Yeah. So Matt's got elves with some herd allies. So he's starting off with the elves here. We've got a regiment and a horde of kindred archers. The horde has the heart-seeking chant. Then we have a Stormwind cavalry, a regiment with the pipes of terror. Then we have 2 horde of Draken riders, one with the brew of courage, the other with the brew of strength. He's got an army standard bearer with the boomstick. We have an elven prince on a horse with the inspiring talisman. Then a dragon kindred lord, a Draken rider lord, and then for the herd, he has a horde of lichens, a beast pack troop, a chimera, and then a shaman with heal and mounted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination there. Brian's list is really tough. And I know Matt is he's Todd's son. He's, I think, around 13 or 14, something like that.
Yep.
So this is going to be a big tournament. So I'm not sure how much experience he's going to have playing against some of the other lists out there. I think there's a lot of good elements in Matt's list. I like the 2 Horde Dragon Riders. If you can use those in combination, they can be pretty deadly. I like that Lycan Horde out of the herd. Again, this is going to depend a little bit on how well he can handle all of those tough elements that are going to be in that other list. I think Brian's gonna take this one. It probably pretty easily, I think, too. Probably somewhere at 15 or 16.
I'll jump in here. I've met Matt. Matt's a cool kid, and I think if he's playing a lot with Todd, then he'll have a decent shot of at least showing Brian a game. But I mean, Brian's list is really good, and Brian's been playing, variations of that list for a while. I got to give it to Brian, and I would go as much as maybe 18 or 19 points for Coquid on that. Just the experience level is going to be all the difference in the world to me. Like, they could have identical lists, or Matt could have a better list, and I would still probably lean towards Brian. But I think Matt's going to be in for a good time. I think he'll have fun, and I think, he'll get there. He'll learn. If this is his first GT, which it sounds like it is, we'll at least baptize him and what a good game looks like, because Brian's really good. So yeah, I'll go 18 or 19 points.
Brian?
Right. I like Matt's herd ally.
debate.
I don't know that they're going to do well nearly enough. That's just a beat stick.
Yeah, maybe I'm not seeing something. I mean, having played herd for 2 years, I love the Lycans. The Beast Troop are great. Should have at least 2 of them. The Chimera on foot, I'm not understanding that choice. Maybe there's something there that I'm not seeing.
It didn't have wings. I misheard that then.
Yeah, there's no wings on it.
I just assumed they came with it. It's like
pretty
the Pharaoh.
much. And it's not really needed when you've got 2 hordes of Draken Riders with the dragon on there.
Mm-hmm.
I know how Brian's
cool model he wants to use.
Maybe it may well be. I got to concur, Matt. Good luck. I knew you when you were like 5, but you got an uphill battle here. Brian knows what he's doing. That said, Brian's he's been on a losing streak for a little while. But we've all played that list enough times, and we know what to do to beat it. Yeah.
So get Uncle Jeff drunk and have him tell you how to beat it.
Whisper the secrets in your ear. Now this match will be handled in the middle of the table, and if Matt can get around the middle of the table, he'll have a good shot at it.
Might be able to.
So I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna go 15-5 because I don't think Brian he's not an overly aggressive player.
True.
And honestly, if Brian loses those boomers in some way, shape, or form, then this match becomes wide open. So go for the boomers. Go for the eyes, Boo.
Go for the
Probably
eyes,
born when that came out. So you have no idea what you're talking
that's depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, 98, 99, so 16,
He was not born
17,
then.
18 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to step away.
Yeah,
Oh,
from
wait,
this
he
next
Eighteen or
one.
wasn't born
19.
for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 2 was out 2 years before he was born.
They already had the sequel out. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to step away from this one. I don't even need to see the list. I'm going to call it for Jen Starling. I'm going to call it a 16-4.
All right. So with that prelude, we've got the next table. Rick, which you want to tell us who the other person playing is?
Yeah, this is a challenge match. So here we have some bozo by the name of Ryan Smith up against Jen Starling. So I've got Jennifer's list here. This is her pretty standard Forces of Basileia. So Sword of Alohi, one with the fire oil. She has two regiment Panther Lancers, one with the blade of slashing. She has a horde of the Panther Chariot with the hammer of measured force. She has two abysses. Both of them are mounted. And she has Julius, the Dragon of Heaven, and Semachris, the Mother of Phoenixes, as usual. And she has 1, 2, 3 Phoenixes to wrap it all up. So yeah, lots of heal and lots of flying. And Mark, you have Ryan, right?
I sure do. Let me pull it up. Ryan is bringing ogres. He has got a regiment of red goblins. He's got 2 regiments of warriors. One of them has exchanged their shields for 2-hand weapons. He has a horde of warriors who did the same thing, and they have the Chant of Hate on top of them. He has 2 regiments of Berserker Braves. He has a horde of Berserker Braves, and they have Brew of Strength. He has a horde of Siege Breakers. They have the Blessing of the Gods. He has 1, 2, 3 Army Standard Bearers. One of them has the Flying Hammer. The other one has the Ukulele. He has 1, 2 Warlocks. One of them has Soul Drain. The other one has Soul Drain and the Fire Heart. He has a Mammoth. And he has 2 Giants. And that is Ryan's list. Ryan, have you got to practice
this one?
Yeah, go for it.
I have not. The winner here is going to be the liquor store. It's going to be merchant in the hotel. It's not going to be the toilets. It's not going to be the trash cans nearby. It's definitely not going to be anyone's eardrums. If Ryan can plan ahead, stagger deployment to deal with the flyers and not just deploy in a line and push forward and then get charged in the flank by lots of flying stuff, he'll do fine. Historically, Ryan doesn't do those things. Historically, Ryan makes a line, pushes forward, and then goes, oh, wait, crap. I'm going to give it to Jen 16-4, but I would like to point out that I have a secret weapon in my pocket. And that is I'm 0-8 when I issue a challenge. I receive a challenge. So there's a streak here. So factor that into your math. It's points down by like 3.
I think Jen's got you beat on list. I think if you can get lucky, you might be able to pull something out, but I don't know, man.
I tend to get lucky and pull something out.
Well,
may not be in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need a roommate?
Got several.
Good. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna go with Jen on this too. I think you've got your chances with this list, especially if she makes a mistake or two. But yeah, it's gonna be an uphill battle for you. 15-5.
Yeah, I played Jen at Lone Wolf, and that was a hell of a fun game, but it was one of those where it was a chess match. We didn't pull a unit off the table until the bottom of turn 4. Wow. It was that much of a chess match. So if you can make her think, I think you got a chance, but I think the liquor is going to get in the way of that. So
I was just going to say, he's going to make her drink, not think.
I intend
so I think in general it's going to come down to the list, and I think that Jen's is probably just going to pull it out. So I'm going to go with Jen. I'm only going to go like 13 or 14 because I think she's going to make a few mistakes too, because again, the liquor is going to get in the way.
So many landslides.
What do you think, Jeff?
Jeff's already weighed in. He doesn't give me a rat's ass chance in hell.
Nope. I've watched plenty of games with Jen. I've played her before. I know how this list plays, and now she finally got both of her nifty little characters in there where she's hasn't been able to play with them in the past.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that triple Phoenix, I don't have any ranged ability to deal with that.
Triple Phoenix there just to keep things alive.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to necessarily kill them. You just have to not let them heal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't let them heal the other stuff, and you'll be all right.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah. Not that you've got the tools to do that, but I'm just saying. I mean, if I were you, I would try and stop that shit. Cool. We've got the next table, which I think is 11, right, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
We're on 11.
All right. Who we got?
So we have Tim Delmas out of Sealy, Texas, against Todd Serpico.
You want me to start with Tim's, or you want to start Jeff off with Todd's?
One of you start. I don't care who.
Okay. Tim is running League of Rordia. He's got 2 hordes of Halfling Braves. One has fire oil, one has the healing brew. He's got 3 regiments of Halfling Archers, troops of Halfling Knights, and 2 regiments of Halfling Knights, so I guess quarterlings. He's got 2 hordes of Honor Guard. One has the Helm of the Ram, one has Potion of the Caterpillar. He's got a pair of volley guns. He has a battle shrine. He's got a Duke with the winged Arrowles. That's carrying the blade of the Beast Slayer. He's got a Halfling Master Sergeant who is mounted. He's got 2 Halfling Sorcerers, Windblast and Lightning Bolt. Army Standard Bearer who is mounted and has the Uke.
Wow. All right. I'm going to weigh in after I get done with Todd's list here. So Todd's running Ratkin like he's been for the last year and a half or so. Horde of Tunnel Slaves with the Crystal Pendant. 2 hordes of Shock Troops, one with Strength, one with Sharpness. 2 troops of Claw Shots. Horde of Brutes with the Brew of Courage. I like that. 2 units of Vermintide, 1 Horde and 1 Regiment. This is chaff there. A Mutant Rat Fiend. You may have started a trend there, Mark. A Warlock with the Inspiring Talisman and Lightning Bolt 5. Swarm Crier with the Dragon's Shard Shield. Dig it? Okay. Demon Spawn. With
Really?
Fly,
a Swarm Crier with the Dragon Shard?
Yeah.
Todd, were you drunk when you made that? What the fuck, man?
If he models him as Gandalf with a big stick, it will be amazing.
I guess. All right. Sorry to interrupt. That just seems really random.
I'm not crazy about it myself. I'll be interested to see how it's used. And then he's got kin allies with a horde of Abyssal Riders, which are awesome, and a Black Dragon, which how can you go wrong? So I'm going to flip back to Ryan's list over here, Tim Delmas's list. I've been assured that this is going to be player's choice for the tournament. It is supposed to look amazing.
I can already tell you it won't be.
All right.
If you want to slap that down, we can talk about that at the end. Do player's choice. Yeah, because I can tell you 2 people. Yeah. All right. Nice.
And the problem is I love Tim's list here. He has all the right things doing to fight against Todd's Ratkin here. The problem is experience. Todd's got a ton of it, and Tim, as far as I know, even though he's neighbors with Dustin, doesn't play much. He's more in the modeling and hobby side of things versus the actual play side. So in the hands of a competent general, I think that Rhodia list could walk that Ratkin list. I got to give it to Todd here, just based on experience. And I'm going to put it at 13-7. I love that Rhodia list.
It was a strong Rhodia list. I'm going to give the edge to Todd here too. I'm going to go a little bigger. I'm going to go 15 or 16 for Todd. especially now that you've said that Tim doesn't get to play as much as probably he needs to. Todd plays all the fucking time. So Todd's just got uber experience, probably on top of Tim. And that's nothing against you, Tim. Sorry, man. It's a good list, and it apparently looks really good. But Todd's playing really well right now, and minus that weird Dragon Shard Shield upgrade. I mean, maybe if it's closed list, I would give that to the guy, but even then, I don't know. But anyway, outside of that, like it's a good list, and Todd will play it well.
The interesting part is going to be the shooting factor. First 2-3 turns of that game, that Roidia list has a lot of it.
Well, those claw shots have 36 inches, man, so don't count them out.
But he's got a lot of stealth on there. And if Tim covers up those honor guard.
Dude, you don't want to shoot that stuff early. You want to shoot that stuff late game. You want to shoot the chaff and stuff early, and Todd's going to be able to start picking off chaff. I think that's what he's going to do.
Sure. That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see that Roidia list and the Army in general. I agree. Tim is a little bit more on the modeling side. He's been out to a few bayous several years ago, back when we were still doing the Warhammer. So it's nice to have him back out here. And I'd love to just see how that list plays, because I have only played one game against a Roidia list, and it only had one unit of halflings in it, which seems kind of pointless. So I'd really like to see how that whole army kind of works together and see how it plays out. But again, if it's going to come down to experience, then I think Todd's going to get this one, and it'll probably be around a 15 or so.
I'll agree. I think this is going to be really tight. I love Tim's army. I love this list. Makes me want to play Roidia, and that's not something I thought would ever happen, because it looks like it's very, very versatile. Argue the experience thing, and Todd plays a lot, and I haven't seen Tim in years, so maybe he plays at home. I hope. I don't know.
I will say, Ryan, there are a buttload of new halfling models out there that look really good. People have been doing a lot of work there.
Good to hear.
I'm
just glad Tim's playing again. I miss it. They need more monsters is the problem for me.
They've got a few. So table 12? Are we there?
Yes,
already?
Going up to table 12, we have Kyle Timberlake against Mr. John Bailey. So I've got Kyle's list, and I'll kind of preface this now. This Kyle and two of his friends are actually driving out from California. I'm hoping that we're just a side trip for them, or they're coming out here for something else and they're not driving out just for our tournament. If that's the case, then we should be buying these guys beers all weekend.
Yeah, no shit.
I'm about to say,
buy their own alcohol all weekend. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Kyle, I will be running around in a red fez. Anytime you need a beer, come find me.
Until I take it away from you.
All right, so I got Kyle's leading the forces of Basileia. He's got 3 troops of men-at-arms, and then he's got 5 regiments of the Paladin Foot Guard. 1 has Healing Brew, 1 has the Hammer of Measured Force, and 1 has Fire Oil. He has 1 Horde of Alohi with the Brew of Strength. He's got a regiment of the Paladin Knights with the Caterpillar. He has a Bearer of the Holy Icon with the Banner of the Griffin. He's got a High Paladin of the Dragon with the Blessing of the Gods. He has 2 War Wizards. Both of them have Soul Drain, and then 2 Phoenixes.
And no Bane Chant.
Well, he gives a lot of stuff like strength and crushing, though, so he doesn't really need the Bane Chant that much, right? Those knights have Caterpillar. They don't need the Bane Chant.
Yeah, knights have Caterpillar, yeah.
Yeah.
The center line that you have that's supposed to grind has nothing to support it if the flanks get held up.
Well, remember, he's got that Banner of the Griffin, so that
Oh, yeah.
bumps his iron resolve up. So he's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be healing a little bit more than he needs to with that Banner of the Griffin. That's a good ad. I like that.
The awesome part, this looks like a middle finger to that 300 line Facebook post about how infantry suck.
Oh, dude, infantry's awesome.
If it's used right, yeah. I like the list. It's interesting, but I'd love to see a Bane Shan in there.
That'd be nice.
Okay, so Ryan, what's he going
On
up
the other
against?
side, we're going up against John Bailey, who is playing Ratkin. He's got a horde of tunnel slaves. He's got 2 hordes of shock troops. One of them's got the potion of caterpillar. One's got a brew of sharpness. He has a horde of blight with the dragon shard shield.
That's where
He
you
has
put
a
that
troop of
fucking item.
scurriers. He's got a troop of scurriers with crossbows and fire oil. The blade of slashing. 2 regiments of vermintide. 2 weapon teams with the mandatory storm of lead upgrade. A pair of shredders. A pair of death engines with vile sorcery. A war chief mounted on a fleabag with the healing brew. One's got heal 3 and the shroud of the saint. And the other one has the Fenulian amulet. And a swarm crier with the lute of insatiable ukuleliness.
See? Bane Shan.
Yeah, I know.
There are a
but
couple of notes to this. One is, I don't think John has played Kings of War since last year. I know he's never played this.
That's right.
list.
He wasn't at Lone Wolf. I know he has never played this list.
I'm not sure he remembers which game he's coming up to play.
First, we got an over-under on whether or not he shows up.
And we don't know if he's going to show up. But on Tuesday, when I remind him it's this weekend. So you combine all those things,
Dumbass.
and then on the other side, you've got Kyle driving in from California, and you know this has been on mind for months. Just in mental preparation, I'm going to give the edge to Kyle. It doesn't matter what lists they have.
Yeah,
Kyle drunk, so.
I'll jump in here too. I agree with you. John was like, "Can I shove this army forward and win?" I was like, "Fuck
Nope.
no, you cannot. This is not that type of list." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Especially with us doing this cast right now, if Kyle catches this, dude, it's like a crazy amount of time. It's like 24 hours or something to drive from California out to here. All he's going to have is time to sit here and think about what he's going to do to pick apart John's list. I'll take Kyle with a fucking 20 almost. Give me a 19 or a 20 for Kyle because John's going to shove stuff forward and be like,
this list?
No, Jeff made this
turned in
list
on his
for him.
behalf.
Jeff made this
so
list.
he may not have even seen his list.
No, he's seen it, but he has no idea how to fucking play it.
Yeah. John did submit it, so he has seen it.
Okay. It did come
All
from
John
his
did
email.
was hit the forward button.
But I guarantee it's never made the table. He's never proxied it. John is completely in the I don't care.
John's not going to see the army, like physically view it with his eyeballs until I hand it to him when I drive it down there. So, I mean, he's not going to know what fucking anything is in his army. He's going to be like, is this a shock troop or a blight? It's like, come on, man.
The good news, Kyle, you'll get more beer.
Just free win. Yeah.
And a free win. And the sad part is John's a competent player.
Yeah, John showed up. I remember it was a number of years ago, but he showed up at a Lone Wolf back when Bowman was running it, borrowed Bowman's Chaos
Dwarf. Yep. I remember that.
Never played it at all and came in like 3rd overall or something like that. Just wrecked face with it. So
to be fair, it had a fucking Kadai in it. So
well, that was and he played and he understood the game a lot better than he does now. But you know, John will probably do better than we give him credit for. But at the same time,
just not in this game.
Game 2 will be John's game.
No, I will take the bet that Bailey will show up if for no other reason that Tom Keegan, the other daddy, is coming out from Florida to play on the bolt action side, and they were talking about just coming out and just drinking all weekend and just having fun. So I would expect that John will show. John will give Kyle a fun game, even if it isn't a very competitive game. So Kyle, you at least are looking forward to that. But as long
as it's not Angry Bailey and he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" If he starts off with that, like, run, Kyle. Just don't even bother, man. Just
So
take
here's the
20.
suck-ass part for Kyle. So Kyle goes in 20s John. Then he's got to play with the Chapman-style list in round 2.
Well,
Welcome
yeah.
to Texas.
Yeah.
You got both ends of the spectrum right there, buddy.
Goes from winter to summer.
Yeah.
We get a lot more summer.
Yeah.
than winter.
Summer is coming.
All right. Well, sorry, John, and definitely enjoy the game there, Kyle.
Ready for
Table
13?
13.
Yeah,
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Here we have Kevin Von Felt against Chuck Williams.
All right. I got Kevin's list. Kevin was up in Minnesota with me, and he did extremely well. I think this is probably a modification of that list that he took. So he has 2 hordes of Ironclad. One has the Brew of Courage. The other has Brew of Strength. He has 2 regiments of Iron Guard. He has a troop of Rangers with Fire Oil. He has a troop of Rangers. So he's got 2 troops. One has Fire Oil. He has a horde of Earth Elementals. They have the Healing Brew. Oh, dude, that's a good upgrade. I like that. He has 1 regiment of Brock Riders. He has a Flame Belcher. He has an Army Standard Bearer with the ukulele. He has a Berserker Lord mounted on Brock with Blade of the Beast Slayer. He has a King with Banner of the Griffin. He has a Stone Priest, Bane Chant 2, an Inspiring item. He has a Battle Driller. He has another Battle Driller. And he has 2 Greater Earth Elementals. Those Battle Drillers did insane work for him 2
Those
weekends
things
ago.
are amazing.
Yeah, and he uses them
They're
very
so
well.
underused.
Oh, dude, he uses them very well. So get ready. All right, who's he playing?
He's playing against Chuck Williams out of Beaumont, and Chuck is running Varengar this year. So he starts off with a war band of troop of them with Blade of Slashing. He's got a regiment of the Sons of Korgan with Headstrong and Fury and the Amulet of Thorns. He has 2 troops of Tundra Wolves. And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3 regiments of Mounted Sons. 1 with Blessing of the Gods, 1 with Brew of Strength, and 1 with Helm of the Ram. All of them have the Headstrong and Fury. He has a horde of Direfang Riders with the Brew of Sharpness, also with Headstrong and Fury. And then he has 1, 2, 3 Magus Conclave with the Famulus Elite upgrade. He has a Magus on a Mount with Blood Boil, a Chieftain on a Direfang with the Brutal Gift, and then a Mounted Scald with the ukulele. So I like Chuck's list. I think he's got a little bit of chaff in there, but he's also got a lot of meat on his army. And Chuck has played dwarves for a long time, and so he's probably going to know pretty much everything that Kevin's list is going to be able to do. Chuck unfortunately has had some runs of bad luck at Bayou over the years. So I think it's going to be a close game, especially early on. I think there's, list-wise, it's a pretty solid matchup. But it's probably going to come down to the last couple of turns to see who pulls this one out. But I'm probably going to go with Kevin somewhere around 12, somewhere in that range.
I will agree with you, but I'll go a little higher. Kevin's list is really hard to get points off of.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Chuck is going to outpace everything that Kevin has virtually, Kevin plays this list very tight, and he's a very, very smart player for being some guy who's only been playing for like 7 or 8 months. I could see Kevin getting 17 points off of this, if not more. So give me Kevin for 17.
In this case, neither of them. I expect this scenario, because of the scenario that they're going to be playing, because of the list that I'm looking at, and the way they're going to play. I bet this is a 12-8, 13-7 And I think I give it to Chuck. I wouldn't be surprised if that was on Kevin's side, but
Hot sports take. Wow. All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you on that.
That's
and
true.
I don't look.
That helps.
I don't look nearly as refined and sophisticated.
I need a cigar.
I'm gonna give Kevin a 13.
All right. What do we got next?
Okay, moving on to table 14. Here we have Tom Annis against Zach Clark.
Hang on, I gotta zoom in on Tom's list.
It's a two-parter.
That's why I've got to zoom in on it. It's in a GIF format. It off the screen. All right, Thomas is running Basileans. He has 2 regiments of men-at-arms with swords, horde of the Sisterhood Infantry with the Brew of Sharpness, a single horde of Elohi with the Blood of the Old King, a regiment of Paladin Knights with the Wine of Elvenkind, a horde with Caterpillar, the Abbess on a Panther, a Bearer of the Holy Icon with the Ukulele, Neus Solustus, Dragon with Healing Brew, a Priest with Bane Chant, the Elohi with the Banner of the Griffin, and a Phoenix. Like you don't.
So just a little heads up for any of you all that are listening to this that go to other tournaments. Aaron, this pertains to you too. JPEGs do TOs, no favors. Please don't do them.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
All right. So I got Zach Cox here. He's playing Ken straight up. So Twilight Ken, 3 of them at least so far.
It's a good army.
2. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a glass cannon. 2 troops of spearmen. 1 horde of crossbowmen with a heart-seeking chant. 2 regiments of Reaper Guard. 2 troops of gargoyles. 2 regiments of Dark Knights. An Abyssal Rider horde with Caterpillar, as you do. 2 bolt throwers. A Black Dragon with, Blessing of the Gods. Could you guess it? Let's see here. 2 high priestesses, 1 with Inspiring, both with Bane Chant. 2 army standard bearers, 1 mounted with the Loot, and 1 with the Banner of the Griffin. All right.
All right, I'll jump in here. Zach's got a lot of experience on Tom, but actually Tom's been holding his own, man. Tom is a smart player. He's a good player. So Zach, don't just think because this guy's only been playing like a year or whatever in the competitive meta that he's going to be a walkover. He's not, man. You're going to be in for a game here, buddy. He's got a real good toolkit. God, I wish I had seen Panther Riders in addition to the Panther Chariots, but that's me.
That's what I was missing too.
God, he's just got a toolbox. Like he's got all sorts of stuff, and then again, so does Zach. Zach's just more offensive, And
honestly, I think this is a toss-up which way they go.
Yeah, Tom's a little more cat and mouse, and Zach's a little more, I want to get in and start really using my hits. Yeah, it's tough. Terrain's going to come down to it, and it depends on the scenario. But I'm going to.
Tom's got a little more unit strength in him.
I'm going to give a slight edge to Tom on this one. I could see a 12 or a 13 point win. Zach, if you get a 12 or 13 point win, it's not going to surprise me. But I think Tom's just got a little more utility. So I'm going to.
I'll take Zach's 12-point win.
Okay.
I've got it flipped just the other way. I think Tom's got a little too much on foot.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not. It's a minor little quibble.
I think Zach's got the ability to dictate the combats with the amount of shooting he has.
True.
Thomas is obviously faster, but it's glass cannon fast. Other than those low-high and the knights to a lesser extent.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to be a game killer to throw something into something that shoots just to lock down the shooting. You know, like
Absolutely.
all you're trying to do is strip the shooting.
Do it all the time.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give this to Zach, and I'm going to give it at. I'm going to go 13, Zach.
Okay. Completely understandable.
I could play Zach's list better.
Okay. See, because I was thinking I could play Tom's list better. Not better than Tom, but I mean better than I could play Zach's list.
Mm-hmm. Rick?
I missed a lot of the discussion. So I'm going to call it a draw. I'm going to call it a 10-10 draw.
It's pretty close to what we were calling it too. So honestly,
pick a side. Piss off your players. Says TOs.
Sorry, my taste buds are throwing me off here. I switched from a very hoppy IPA to a home brewed amber that one of my friends just bottled up and handed to me the other day. So my taste, I'm downshifting quite a bit here. So I got to take a while to catch up.
IPAs, man, I hate it.
I'm so sick of IPAs.
I love IPAs. I'm sorry, but this amber is a much more balanced blend of just a little bit of the hoppy bitterness, not very much, but a good malt undertone. So I like it.
Yeah, but how much is that thrown off by the hop profile that you just had in your mouth, to where you can't really necessarily?
It's going to take me about a third of this before I'll be back to normal. Yeah.
That's why you shoot a glass of water in between the two to also reduce the hangover. Pro tip to be a hangover hero.
I did, but I also admit that I did it backwards, where I should have started with this and then gone to the hoppier beverage. Yeah. But actually, it was the fact that I forgot that I had this sitting in my fridge. So that was my fault. All right. Table 15.
Yep.
Ready for that one? Okay, so this one we have Roger Hedgepeth, who is also one of the guys coming out from California with Kyle, and he's going up against Mark Taylor.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I've got Roger's list. Roger looks to be running Pure Brotherhood. He has a horde of the Valayan Spearmen. He has a horde... Oh, sorry, the Spearmen have Brew of Courage. He has a horde of Water Elementals. He has 2 regiments of the Abyssal Hunt. He has Valayan Initiates. One of them has Dwarven Ale. The other one has Macklin's Caterpillar. He has 1, 2, 3 regiments of the Redemption. He's got the Valayan Reconnectors. I know it's not how you say it, but it's funnier to say it that way. He's got 2 of those in troop form. He has an Exemplar Redeemer with Banner of the Griffin. So real light on the item count and very, very knight focused. Not really focused on the monsters or anything, or the monstrous cav. Yeah, just all infantry and cav. Cool.
No flyers.
No flyers. Interesting list.
Other side of the table, we're going to see Mark Taylor. Mark is running an Empire of Dust with Trident Realms allies because water and dust go together like
mud.
We all had the same simile. He is running a horde of revenants with the Casket of the Damned and a Brew of Strength. Regiments of mummies. Crushing. One of them has a Casket of the Damned and a Blade of Slashing. He has 1, 2, 3 regiments of Scavengers. One of those has the Crystal Pendant of Retribution. He's got a Bone Giant. He's got a Bone Dragon. He has a pair of Cursed High Priests. They both have Breath Attack 12 and Vicious. A mount. One of them has Blessing of the Gods. The other has the Grimoire Bear, who is mounted with a ukulele. And then for his Trident Realm allies, he has a horde of Placoderms and a Coral Giant.
It's pretty good.
That's a nice little build.
Yeah.
Richard, that's a good dust list.
You mean Mark?
No.
Oh, you're talking to Hambone. Gotcha.
Hambone, take note.
I got you. Those Scavengers, that was a regiment or a horde?
3 regiments.
3 regiments.
But the one that had the crystal pendant was a regiment. All right. Cool.
Yeah, I
And
see
then
where you're
just
going
off.
there. I would have almost done that as a horde to force him to get him to commit more than one unit to it.
Yeah, but depending on how you block, you could block 2 units with it.
Yep.
That's a good little build. I like it.
I like that build.
Dude, Roger. Mark is a very, very good player. I don't. You know what? I bet I've met him when I was out at West Coast or at the LD2 Quake City, and I probably
Is he
got
coming
so
in with
drunk.
Kyle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's coming from California. So unlike Kyle, who's probably going to get a cakewalk win, you are going to have a hard time, my friend. Mark Taylor is a very, very smart player, and he's a very good player. So be on the lookout. You've got a decent amount of punch rolling around. It's going to depend on terrain layout, really heavy against you to see how that'll play out. But depending on how you deploy your terrain, you may be able to give yourself some avenues and sneak some stuff around on Mark. But he's got a lot of those caskets and he's got a lot of surge, so it's going to be tight.
Does he have a lot of surge, or does he only have?
He wouldn't take the caskets if he didn't have the surge.
10, 20. No, just 20, it looks like. Oh, and the Grimoire.
The
Yep.
Grimoire.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's still only got the 2 casters, right?
Just 2 casters,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you just
So
need.
he's going to be trying to cast. He's going to be trying to surge that 1 unit.
Well, he's got
He's got
2
a
guys with
monolith too,
caskets.
so he gets to add
Yeah.
2 as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's
So
going to be able to
10.
surge just fine. Trust me.
Yeah.
One-
Yeah,
It's-
but it's not going
it's
to be
laid
like
out that way.
surging multiple units around. That's
No.
where he's going to.
He'll get maybe 2 units a turn to surge, or 1 unit to surge like a crazy number of inches.
Well, the interesting
got
part is he put
28.
Blessing of the Gods on one of those surgers, which I
Yes, he
really,
did.
really
You
like.
clever bastard. That's so like we were saying, Mark's a smart player doing stuff like that. I'm going to give it to Mark. I got to give him like 15 or 16. It's going to be a little tougher to kill these knights, but it's not going to be out of the realm of possibility. So 15 or 16 for Mark Taylor.
Yeah, I think the terrain is actually going to
Oh, yeah. Huge.
place in this too, because it all depends on how many avenues Roger's going to have to get his knights around where they need to be, because he's going to be faster than the Dust Army for sure, but can he get the guys
theory.
where he needs to be? I mean, there's a fair amount of foot troops and all in that Dust list. So if the terrain's beneficial, I can see Roger putting up a good fight.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I like that Dust list a lot. I think there's just enough chaff in there with the flying guys. You can get him to where he needs to be. I'm going to go with Mark, but I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be about a 12.
Okay.
I've got Mark on a 13. I think this is a big grind. The fact that he's got a horde of placoderms he can just plop off flank and not have to worry about is nice too.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not crazy about this Brotherhood list. There's no caster to surge the water elementals. That horde of Villian initiates. I hate hordes of cav in general. They're just too large. They get chaffed up. They're never going to see combat unless Mark wants them to. Yeah, I got to go Mark. Probably a 15-5. I will wander by this table, Roger, and I will bring you a beer because you deserve it for coming all this way. I'm not crazy about that list, my friend. Maybe you'll show me something I haven't seen before. You know what's missing here is at least 1 or 2 more individual redeemers. He's got one with that banner, which means he's got to float that around his troops. Justin uses those redeemers very, very well. Seeing 2 or 3 of those on the table to go with this list would make it a lot more appetizing to me.
Cool. So are we table 16?
Table 16. Mike
Yep,
Grajeda
we
and
have-
Jason Johnson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Rick. I'm taking over.
No, go right ahead. I know you're eager to talk about Mike's list, so just jump on in.
I am giddy to talk about Mike's list. Mike is running herd. He is running 1, 2, 3 hordes of lichens. One has a brew of strength, one has a helm of the ram, one has a brew of haste. So that's speed 10 lichens. He is running 4 beast packs. 2 stampedes, one with the blessing of the gods, one with the blood of the old king. You remember when we were talking about chimeras? He's got 2 of them. You know what they do have? Wings. And then
Fly away,
to round it all off,
please.
he has 2 mounted shamans with a heal. One's got blood boil, one's got a fire heart. I'm going to go upstairs and think about this list tonight to lull myself to sleep.
He's got 3 shamans, buddy.
Cuddle it. He's got 3. He
He's
does
got
have
3?
3. I can't read.
Oh,
That's the way I always took my list. Was 3 shamans.
Are they mounted?
2 of them are mounted.
2
The
mounted.
third is
Okay,
not
okay.
mounted but has a banner of the griffin.
Gotcha.
Which I don't quite get that.
He's not going to be able to keep up. Well,
Yeah.
then again, like no, because you can't run that guy the whole time because you're going to want to use heal. I don't know.
That's a weird. That one's a weird choice.
Yeah. Seems like you would have thrown it
I
on
think
something
He
else.
just got blocked by points.
You could shave off the 15
throw it on
points
one of the-
somewhere.
Hordes or something.
Drop Helm of the Ram or something. I love this list so much. I'm just tell me what Jason Johnson's running so
Just
that I can
wait.
just close my eyes and get down to it.
All right, so Jason Johnson, he is running ogres. He is running vanilla ogres. No allies. Good. I thought I misread that there. Okay, ogres. A legion with a phalanx. Okay. Berserker Braves, a horde of those with nimble. I like that. Siege Breakers with the blessing of the gods, a horde of those. A horde of shooters with the brew of cats. Not correct, Jason. We need to have a talk.
He used the other link.
I missed that. Yep.
Yeah, he used the non-cock link.
Yep. Damn it. All right. I got to get with Jason then, have him swap that out for something. All right. Boomers of the Jar of 4 Winds.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 Red Goblin Scout Troops. Horde of Chariots with Pathfinder, as you do. Army Standard Bearer with the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, which I love. And, of course, Grakamaka. And the Giant. As a herd player, I like this Lycan list a lot, and it handles ogres very, very, very well.
As an ogre player and a herd player, I don't want to see that herd list on the other side of the table from my ogres.
The flip side of it, Jason Johnson's a very good player.
He's a very good player.
But I don't think he gets
So
to
is
play nearly as much as
Dude,
Mike has.
I don't
gotten to
think
play.
he gets to play at all. I don't think Jason plays other than when he shows up to events.
Yep.
Guys, he came in 6th last year.
I know,
But-
and that's for never
very
having
weird.
played it
So-
before. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love Jason. I don't see him starting off well. Mike's list is just
If he can get that shooting to work. But yeah, I agree. I think Mike has the upper hand on this. I would give Mike like 15 or 16.
If Jason had a couple of the Goblin mounted heroes
Yeah.
to chaff up those stampedes, I would feel a lot better about his chances.
I agree.
Yeah, you guys are probably right. I'm not going to discount Jason though. He'll figure something out. Maybe it'll be that tactical first round loss in submarine from the field, but I think he will surprise people, even though he doesn't play a whole lot.
I think so too. I mean, he's not going to take a lot of losses this weekend. I just don't think he's got the tool bag to deal with Mike's list being on top of him that fast. If
One
Mike
thing
wants to be there.
One thing that's interesting is, Jason does out unit strength him by a fairly heavy margin.
That's if those units are there at the end of the game, though.
Absolutely.
That's part of the trick. Everybody looks at it at the start, not at the end.
And how the scenario plays them, too.
Yep.
But I will say this, mad props to Jason for being the only one to make it to all 14 bayous. And he lives in Little Rock, Arkansas, so he's 9 hours away. So
yeah, you're getting beers too, Jason.
He always does. Yeah,
I know.
All right, so on to table 17.
All right.
Oh, the Troller.
We've got Troller versus, who is it?
Mike Dieter.
Oh, the Deets.
This would be a fun matchup.
Troll
This
and
may
the
be our
Deets.
sportsmanship table.
Oh, yeah, dude. I could see that working. So I've got Troller's list. So, Ryan, you said you were having wet dreams about Mike's list.
Mhm.
Check this shit out. This looks like a pretty good take on his all-wolf, lone wolf list. He's got 1, 2, 3 regiments of Lycans, and he's playing herd. Then he's got 1, 2, 3 hordes of Lycans. He has a greater totem. He has 2 shamans, both have heal, both are mounted. He has 1, 2, 3 Lycan alphas and an Avatar of the Father with fly. Boom. Lycans everywhere. Oh, it's so cool.
Well, and
that only
and
gets me up
Mike,
6 inches, though.
That's like 2 more inches than you have.
No.
Yeah.
well, he's going to be going up against Mike Dieter, who is playing ogres. And so Mike starts out with 2 hordes of warriors, following that up with 2 hordes of berserker braves, following that up with a horde of siege breakers with the caterpillar. Then he has a horde of hunters, a horde of boomers with the quicksilver rapier. Then he has 3 army standards. Then he has a warlock with the healing charm, and count them 1, 2, 3 giants.
Love it.
Nice.
Who's letting him borrow this army?
Well,
Is it Sean?
No, not that I know of.
Okay.
I think he's bringing it. He's probably getting it from Jody. I'm going to chime in
it
here
could be
so I can go
Jody.
get a beer. Hey, I love Troller's list. I've played him at it. He loves Commodons against this list. But that ogre list is great. Here's a deciding factor here. Dieter has had Jody to train him, and the last official game he played against people that weren't Jody was the hot tournament. Troller was getting his butt worked on during the hot tournament, and so he has not played at all since Lone Wolf. So I'm giving it to Dietz on experience alone. And both of them are solid games. This will be a fun table to watch. I expect much beer to be drank.
Yeah, they'll have fun. God, dude, I do not get that silver rapier on the boomers.
That's so weird.
or the Pathfinder on the siege breakers. Like, give those dudes healing brew and just call it a day. And
Or
just ruin
haste.
somebody's or haste. Something like you've got defense 6. If you healed 3 wounds on that, you just pissed somebody off because it took them like God knows how many attacks to do that 3 wounds.
I will say props to Troller for no magic items once again.
No
because
shit.
He's going to be too lit to remember to use them anyway.
Yeah. Well, he's got heal. So, I mean, he did the same thing I did. He has 2 casters, both upgraded with the spell upgrade, and then he has his character with fly. I have the same thing and no items. So, Tim, you and I are like brothers or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go with Tim on this one. I think those Lycans are fast enough to where Dieter's not really going to play the angles right because he hasn't played in forever. And I think that's how that one's going to play out. So I'm going to take Troller. I'm going to go Troller with 14 or 15 points and Dietz with the 6 or the 5 after that.
I will say this. Troller could give himself a huge advantage in this scenario with proper placement of that totem.
Oh, okay. Well, just give shit
Ooh.
away.
I haven't given
I'm going
squat
to read
away.
into that now.
If I remember correctly, there's not much chaff in basically any army or either army, correct?
Nope.
Correct. It was
So
all
it's just going to be
blocks.
Yeah, it's just going to be march forward and beat the snot out of each other. If you can take a few wounds off people, with some shooting on the way in with the boomers and all. But yeah, it's just going to come down to who can get the first charge off probably and put the other guy at a disadvantage. So with the speed, I'm probably going to go with Troller there.
Yeah.
Yep. So he can pop a unit. Those lichens regen so fast.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the same way. There's a lot of regen. If you don't pop them in a single turn, you might as well not have shot at them.
That's 5+ regen, though. It's not that bad.
I wish you would have given the shroud to one of those shamans.
Yeah, that would have been a good upgrade. But fuck items. Who needs them?
Here, here.
We doing table 18 now?
Table 18, we have John Green Jr. against Mr. Brad McKay.
All right. Got to hang out with John a couple weekends ago, too. John is bringing his, and I'm assuming this is his 300 army. He's bringing his Varangar army. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hordes of fallen. 5.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has Brew of Strength. One of them has Helm of the Ram. One of them has Brew of Haste. The other one has Fire Oil. And then the last one has nothing. He has a regiment of the Mounted Sons of Korgon. They have the Headstrong and Fury upgrade. He also has them with the Caterpillar. So they have no hindered charges through terrain. He has a Devourer. It's got the Breath Weapon 10 Vicious upgrade. Those Devourers are freaking awesome. He's got 1, 2, 3 Magus. 2 of them have Fireball. 2 of them have the Elite upgrade. 2 of them are mounted. One of them has Inspiring. The other one has Fireheart. And then the third one, the odd man out, has the Elite upgrade, has mounted, and has the Phenulian Amulet. So he's casting twice. Although he's only got 1 spell. He may want to fix that because that doesn't really work. Oh, no, sorry, Phenulian. That adds to the lightning. The other guy has the Fireheart. All right, never mind.
Fireheart.
Yeah. I fixed it. All right, cool. Then he's got a Chieftain. The Chieftain has the Headstrong and Fury upgrade. He is mounted, and he's got the Ukulele. And then he has a Scald mounted with the Diadem of Dragonkind. And that is John's list. Pretty good looking.
Like it.
I do too.
So, Brad McKay's list. We have seen.
Oh, he's playing Brad. All right.
Yep. So we have seen something similar to this. Call it if you remember it. 2 troops of. We are playing Night Stalkers with Abyssal allies. 2 troops of gargoyles. 2 hordes of tortured fiends.
Souls.
3 hordes of fiends, 1 with strength, 1 with griffin, and 1 with the caterpillar. 2 shadowhawks, a portal of despair, 1, 2, 3 void lurkers who fly with the brew of haste and the pipes of terror.
Sorry, what was that? The Pipes of Terror?
Pipes of terror on
Okay.
1 and the brew of haste on the other,
Yep.
and 1 naked.
Naked. Nice. Any planar apparitions?
No planar
Oh,
apparitions.
he dropped those out. Okay.
Yeah, he dropped those out, and he went for pure combat ability.
I like those Shadow Hulks, though, to be honest.
Yep. Just a little slow.
Who wants first call?
Well, I've played against John List at at one of the tournaments here in Houston, kind of the warm-ups for Bayou, but we were playing a completely different scenario. But John really understands what his list can and can't do, and he's very good at making sure he can get his characters where they need to be. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of experience playing against the Night Stalkers. But I know Brad's an excellent player. And I think it's going to be one of those close ones. I think it's going to be a pretty close game early on, and then it may come down to the last few turns. And I think the scenario, and maybe to a certain extent terrain, might have a little impact in that. Because knowing what the scenario is and looking at the lists, I think I'm going to give this one to John, but it's going to be close. Probably 12 or so.
Yeah, it's not going to be that close. I like John's list. I like it a lot. I like it in the meta, and I like it for the way the scenarios are going to be functioning. He came to a primary. He got a feel for where I was going with scenarios. That said, that is a ball kicker of a Night Stalker list. It'll rival Dustin and Aaron's as best lists in this. I've played Brad McKay at a similar list like this. It's surgical. It's going to hit the units he wants to hit quickly. The only thing it lacks is a Bane Chant to buff up those fiends. But the fiends are still 15-18, defense 4. Everything's fast. It's going to hit what he wants to hit when he wants to hit it, and he's got that portal is a -1 nerve to everybody around it. I like it. He's going to put that wherever objectives are, and he's going to capitalize on it. I think Brad's got this, and I think it's a 16-4. And John, I think you're coming along. I love what you're doing with your list, but Brad's is nasty.
So here's what I'll throw out here. And as you were kind of reading through Brad's list, I was looking at John's list. John actually has a bunch of tools that Brad doesn't necessarily want to see. Brad's not going to be outpacing any of John's army with those fiends. He's going to be dead even with the speed, because pretty much, I mean, there's one thing in John's army that is not speed 8, and it's the Devourer. Everything else is speed 8. So Brad is literally going to have to rely on those Tortured Souls, those Gargoyles, and those Void Lurkers to outpace and start putting pressure on. The problem is that John has a fuck ton of Fireball and Lightning. And if he can get in range and start dropping that Fireball and Lightning, that stealthy rule that those Night Stalkers have doesn't mean shit. So he can start like actually doing wounds before he gets into combat, depending on how he pressures. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Fallen who don't care about terrain unless it's a wall. Good gracious, man. Like, one of them speed 9, nimble. Brad doesn't have enough things to block off that avenue. Even if he pops it like an inch in front of that unit, that nimble lets John just run right around it. And Brad's going to know that, so he's going to have to really like plot out where that unit's going to go and how the other things are going to play. So honestly, and don't get me wrong, Brad's a great player, and Brad has a great list. I think out of all the draws, I think Brad probably didn't want to see this list as like one of the top 2 or 3 lists Brad doesn't want to play against. It's probably this list or one of these 3 lists that has John's list in there. So John can absolutely go toe-to-toe with this list. It just depends on how those Void Lurkers perform and if John gives them triple charges and whatnot. I still think Brad's going to pull this out. I don't think it's going to be a landslide at all. I could see a 13 or a 14-point win in favor of Brad. Brad could get lucky and go higher, but man, it's just John actually has the things to do against Brad that Brad doesn't want an army to do against him. So we'll see.
I've got Brad as well, but I've got it 12-8. I've got it pretty tight on there. going to come down to that mid-range shooting game.
I don't think so. Brad is pretty aggressive as a player.
No, he's not. No, what do you? No.
Every game I've played with him, he's always been.
If he has the obvious, I've got more movement than you, period, across the board, he might get aggressive. But I have seen him play cagey for 4 turns consistently. So I don't agree with that. I don't think Brad is that aggressive when you compare him to like maybe other players who dive forward on turn 2 and turn 3 charges. Brad's usually taking a 4 or 5 charge to try and open a flank and really seal the deal. We'll see, though. I mean, this is a good game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rocking on. We got table 19. We got like 4 left, guys. We're getting there.
Yeah, 5 left. Yep. So
That's like 4.
table 19. We got Jeff Grajeda against the third of the California Caravan, Jeremy Schwitkiss. So I've got Jeremy's list, so I'll go ahead and start off with this one. He is playing Undead, and he starts with 2 troops of ghouls, and then 2 regiments of the Soul Reaver Infantry. He has a horde of the Revenants with the Undead Giant Rats and the Brew of Strength.
Nice.
2 troops of Wraiths, a horde of Wraiths with the Brew of Sharpness, 2 regiments of the Soul Reaver Cavalry, and then he's got 2 Vampire Lords, one with the Blade of Slashing and one with the Mace of Crushing, probably because he had a couple of points left over.
Are those lords on foot?
Those lords are indeed on foot.
On the other side of the table, he's going to have Jeff Grajeda. Jeff is running 2 hordes of Fallen. One's got a Brew of Strength. One's got a Helm of the Ram. Regiments of the Mounted Sons of Korgan. One's got Caterpillar. One has Blessing of the Gods. 2 troops of Horse Raiders. A horde of Direfang Riders with the Brew of Haste. He's also got a Devourer with Breath 10 and Vicious on his ranged attacks. He has 2 Kings on Chimera. The Korgan for the Headstrong and Fury. One has the Chant of Hate. The other has the Healing Brew. And he has a Mounted Scald. I like Jeff's list, but then I tend to like things that are horde heavy, so... Well, he's not even that horde heavy. The Mounted Sons are in... I like Jeff's list. I like Jeff, though, so I may be biased.
Yeah, I'm looking through Jeremy's list here, and with those vampires on foot, I mean, they'll be able to keep up with most everything.
You're talking about that Soul Reaver? The hordes of Soul Reaver on foot?
No, the Vampire Lords. I wish they were mounted.
Oh, the characters. Gotcha.
But they're at least speed 7. So, I mean, they're not going to keep up with the cavalry quite as much, but he's got a bunch of other stuff that's slower than he is. So we'll be able to at least support those. He's got a little bit of chaff, which, you know, obviously Jeff doesn't have, but Jeff might not need it. Those 2 Kings on Chimera, I mean, I run a list similar to that. I like that as an element in that army. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, you know, he's only got the two chances to surge with the Vampire Lords. And they're only surge 3, so they're not going to get a lot of extra movement. They might not need it, but especially early on in the game, I think Jeff might have a little bit more flexibility with his list. I think I'm going to lean towards Jeff on this one, probably about a 13-7.
I'm leaning the same way. Jeff's got just a little bit of edge, it feels like, on speed. And I like the double kings.
No, there's a lot more than just a slight edge on speed. Jeff's been playing a lot. I don't know Jeremy.
Yeah, that's hard to call when you don't really know the person or their play style. It makes it a really weird call on a matchup.
But without without those vampires being mounted or some surge in here, I'm not crazy about this undead list.
So he's going for elite undead where he doesn't
Yep.
have to rely on surge. That makes it a lot more of an upfront game. And
They
that may
typically
play into
don't do
Jeff's.
well.
Yeah. Well, they can do well, but they've got to be quicker. And if he's
Mhm.
going on foot, that makes it a lot harder. So, I mean,
The
Yeah,
two troops of
tough.
wraiths are not going to scare anything that Jeff has in his list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going Jeff, and I'm going 15-5. Jeremy, again, find the Fez, get a beer. Welcome to Texas.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about Jeremy as a player to help me make that call, but I agree with you guys. I'm going to go with Jeff. Just paper on paper, I think Jeremy has a few tools in there. I just don't think that they're enough to overcome what Jeff is probably bringing to the table. Whether Jeff plays a lot or not, I've just got to go on paper at that point, and I got to go with Jeff's list.
I'll be honest. I feel that Soul Reaver Cav is a trap, points trap.
I agree.
Yeah, but you got to kill him though. Like that's the hard part.
You have to kill him. That's 600 points sitting out there.
They're tough, and if you spend all that time trying to kill him, typically your opponent envelops you with other stuff.
Most of the time, you just grind them out in the woods somewhere and not worry about them.
You got to hope for you got to hope that they're dumb enough to charge into the woods.
Seen dumber.
Yeah, I've played dumber. Table 20.
Before that, I was going to say this is going to be Jeff's last hurrah at the GTs for a while because he got married Bayou weekend last year and missed out. And if you saw his shirt at Lone Wolf, his wife is expecting their first child in early November, so it's a good chance.
Awesome.
So he's going to miss out on Alamo, but he will be able to play at the Austin tournament, the Capital City Clash. So this, and I do know that his wife is coming with him this weekend, so we can't get him too drunk, unfortunately.
Says you.
Yeah,
Sure we can.
Challenge.
His last chance to get drunk
accepted.
for like 9 months. Yeah, of course. Getting you
Making him
fucked up.
embarrassment to his wife. We're good at that.
We're really good at getting people in trouble with their wives, right? Why are you so drunk? Oh, it's their fault. Those motherfuckers.
Gee, it sounds like
All right.
local Friday.
Minus
No,
somebody's
I did that
bitch
all
ass
on my own.
beers.
Thank you very much. Wait, that was Thursday, not Friday.
That was Thursday. Thursday is
Yeah.
what I meant. That'll blend together. All right.
Thank you.
All right, table 20. We get to our final challenge match of Bayou. This one was delivered to us this afternoon, so they barely got it in before we basically said, nope, tables are set. This is Dustin Howard against Mr. Jeff Franz.
By the way, pretty shitty challenges all the way around. Pretty much a 3 on effort.
Oh, for theirs?
Yep.
Yeah, in general, they were pretty lame on the smack talk.
I was disappointed, I will admit.
So who's gonna
I will
read?
lead off with Dustin's.
Okay.
Dustin is running Empire of Dust. He has 2 hordes of skeleton warriors, one of which has a banner of the Griffin, regiments of mummies. He's got a horde of revenant chariots with Pathfinder or with Caterpillar. He has 1 bone giant. He has a 2nd bone giant. He has a 3rd. He
All right,
has
then.
1 bone dragon. He has 2 bone dragons. He also has 2 cursed high priests. They both have healed 4. Dude, this thing is getting old really fast. Only one of them has a Shroud of the Saint. And then he's got an Idol of Shobik. Like you do. Pretty solid, pretty hard hitting.
Yeah, those giants can do work.
Yes. All right, so he's going to be going up against Jeff Franz. He's playing orcs with the couple of goblin add-ons there. So his orcs, he starts off with a Horde of Axe with the Potion of the Caterpillar. And then he's got a regiment of Morax with the helm of the ram, a horde of the Great Axe with the chant of hate. He's got a horde of trolls with the banner of the griffin. Interesting choice there. He's got a regiment of gore riders with the brew of courage. He's got a horde of fight wagons with the brew of strength. And then he's got 2 god speakers, both with Bane chant. One has the amulet of the Fireheart. The other has the inspiring talisman. He has 2 war drums and Gakamak. And then add on top of that his goblin allies. He's got 2 troops of Maw Beast packs. He's got 2 regiments of the Fleabag Riders and a bigot on a mount. So it looks like he's bringing the goblins just as chaff.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do.
That's what you do with allies.
Yep, and he's just got a lot of orcs.
It's a lot of bodies to chew through.
Yes. It's gonna see 1, 2, 3.
How much surge did Dustin have?
10, 20 stuff does, because I'm not familiar with all of it. It looks like 20 plus the 2 each from the idol.
Any
He's only
caskets?
got 2 priests.
Did he use caskets?
No caskets at all.
Okay.
How many drops does Dustin have?
Not many, but Dustin knows where he's putting it on every game.
13.
Okay, because he's got 16. Jeff has 16 with his list.
Dustin doesn't care.
No, I get that, but I mean, it matters when you start talking about like kind of board control and stuff.
The more interesting conversation rather than drops is unit strength. And Jeff has some very resilient. He's got a lot of it, and it's fairly resilient in the unit strength department. Dustin's only got 5 real scoring units. Everything else is onesie twosie. And I think that's going to factor into that first scenario.
Yeah, but those bone giants, dude, like,
Yep.
he can dive them in at move 7 and kick them into a flank and surge those guys. Like, that's upwards of 24 attacks that have crush 3. Like, he's gonna wound most stuff on 2s with those guys.
I've
Everything
beaten
on 2s.
I've beaten that list of Dustins. It's an uphill battle. It's that list right there is probably my number 2 or 3 in the tournament.
Franz could chaff it though. I mean, he could chaff it right because there's not enough surge in there to do super janky stuff. If you're only talking about 20.
Yep. Franz has everything he needs in there.
Yeah, they both have everything they need. It sounds like.
And honestly, if Franz can make this a rounds 4, 5, 6 fight versus a 2 through 6 fight,
yeah,
Franz can probably take that win.
Based
on unit strength alone.
Just give me Jeff. I'll take Franz over Dustin. Dustin isn't playing orcs, so that's his downfall right there.
Ooh, an orc on orc battle would be nice.
Yeah, I know. I'll take Franz. I'll give Franz 14 or 15.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning the same way. I'm going to go about 13 or 14 for Jeff. I think he's just got more in his army that's going to be harder for Dustin to deal with.
Oh, man. I really like Dustin's list, though. I know Jeff's playing a lot lately, though. I'm going to give a slight edge to Dustin here. I'm going to call it a 12-8, though. I think this is going to be pretty tight.
Jeff has double Dustin's unit strength. That's going to factor hugely in this first match.
It's got to be on the board at the end of the game, though.
You can only kill so many units around.
Yeah, but if he kills a horde, he kills that much unit strength. So
I'm going to call this a 13-7 for Jeff.
Cool.
Just because Jeff has so many units that score on the many more units that score on the board. I wish he had a little more speed there, because he's going to be hard pressed to take out Jeff's horde or Dustin's hordes.
Yeah.
Those hordes are probably never going to see combat and come into score on turn 6. That's the biggest issue.
All right. So are we jumping to the next table?
Yeah, we're jumping to the next table, table 21. This matchup has Eric Schnell against the Ringer Army. So unfortunately, we have not quite finalized the Ringer Army. We have a few choices to choose from.
Carbon copy Trident Realms. That's my vote. 3 for 3.
It will either be the Trident Realms or a herd, or maybe even my son's Ratkin list.
Well, it won't be Trident Realms unless we're completely proxying it, 'cause I sold all mine off.
Oh, okay. So then it will be either we'll probably just bring my son's Ratkin. So Eric, you'll probably be going up against some Ratkin. It's going to have a mix of foot troops. It only has let's see, it's got one engine. It's got a couple of the weapons teams. It's got a couple of hordes of foot troops. Couple of warlocks in there. It's got a mix of everything. It's got like a troop of the claw shots. It's got a mutant rat fiend, and it's got a shredder. So it's not overly powerful.
You know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have a demon, and he's going to have to figure out how to get an extra 500 points in there somewhere.
It'll probably have some goblin allies, if I had to guess.
All the expensive items. It doesn't matter where they go. Who cares? Just
exactly. We'll just pad that thing with everything we can find.
Kingdoms of men.
Lego Varangier.
I've seen that. That's a disgusting list.
I bet.
I love it. It's
okay. So what's Eric bringing?
Eric is bringing, here it is. Empire Dust with no allies. Love it. So he's got a horde of scavengers with Headstrong. All right, I can see it. Kind of. Skeleton Cavalry with the in a regiment with a blade of slashing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Revenant Chariots, regiment sized. One with the Bureau of Strength, Caterpillar, Blessing of the Gods, Pipes of Terror, and Elvenkind. All right. For all those magic items, you could throw another regiment of chariots in there. Just saying. Regiment of Worm Riders with the Chant of Hate. 1, 2, 3 animated behemoths, which I like.
Those are awesome. I love them.
Crush 3, absolutely. Defense 6. I wish they weren't on a chariot base, but you can't have everything. You got a Pharaoh in a chariot. And we need to talk with Eric as well. Rick, he's got the ensorcelled armor, which I missed.
Man, my list checkers, they're slacking this year.
They're slack. I missed 2. Come on now. All right, and then he's got 1, 2, 3 high priests. And the funny part is, I'm the list checker, and both of them ended up on lists I was reading. One with the grimoire. That's what
happens when you look at 40 plus lists. They all just kind of bleed together.
Mm-hmm.
One with the grimoire. All 3 are mounted. All 3 have heals, which is interesting. So surge a lot, 38 plus whatever the grimoire does for them.
Another 4.
But no caskets. And heal 12. No shroud for the heal, which is interesting.
Still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
one thing we'll have to ask him about. You said he has a regiment of the Snake Riders.
No, it's a horde of Snake Riders.
Okay, I thought I heard regiment. Okay, because if he's
No, it's a
using the
horde.
old, yeah, so if he's on the old models, then it's basically on it'll work out to a horde footprint. So I just wanted to double check on that one. So
Yeah, it's almost impossible to have those in a regiment if you use the GW models.
yeah,
Just have them pointed 8 different ways, sitting on top of
one
each other.
sideways in the middle.
For two models, 8 different ways.
That's right. So we're all picking Eric.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done.
Nice.
Eric,
Consensus.
if you're listening to that, or your dad, you need to fix the ensorcelled armor and make it something else.
Or shoot him an email.
We will be shooting him an email.
You lazy jackass.
More like
Well, we got to
Jeff.
figure out how to get a hold of Jason Johnson too.
He checks his
Gotta
email.
send
It's
that
just
letter
rare.
tomorrow.
All right.
Next
Okay,
table.
second to the last table.
Woohoo!
Table 22, we have Justin May against Paul Wysocki.
Oh, nice. All right, I've got Justin's list. He has salamanders, and he is allying in Kingdoms of Men. This is a pretty interesting looking list. So he has 3 troops of militia mob, and he has a horde of arquebusiers. He has a regiment of salamander ancients. They have exchanged their shields for 2-hand weapons to drop defense and gain crushing 2. He has given them blade of slashing. He's got 2 hordes of the Gekata warriors. One has brew of haste. The other has measured force. He has the Kinosaur lancers. He's got 2 regiments of those. One of them has Sparkstone, which I think is pretty interesting. He's got ancients on rhinosaurs in horde format. They have wine of elvenkind. Oh, dude, that's cool. He's got 2 Lilichiodons, however the hell you say that. He's got the Ankylodon battle platform guy. He's got one of those. He's got a herald mounted on Kinosaur raptor, and he's got the ukulele. Then we've got a mage priest with heal 3 mounted on raptor with inspiring talisman. And to round it out, he's got a clan lord on fire drake. And that dude is just walking around. Okay, so that is Justin's list.
I have so many questions about this list.
Yeah, right? It's interesting.
All right, I got Paul's list. He's running ogres as he is, and oh damn it, there it is. It may even be more painted than it was.
Well, that's good.
But I'm not guaranteeing.
At least he didn't
that.
go backwards. Less painted than I had last time.
Screw it. We're going back to primer. All right, he's got a horde of warriors with the caterpillar. 2 regiments of berserker braves. I keep telling him he needs 4. Dudes are awesome. Siege breakers. He's got 2 hordes of those. One with blessing of the gods, and one with the brew of haste. 2 hordes of broomers. Boomer sooner. 2 troops of scouts. Come on, say it with me, Mark.
Fuck Bob Stoops.
Fuck Bob Stoops.
1 army standard bearer with the banner of the griffin. Very good. Warlock with fireball. Normally it's a 12. It'll probably be a 14. With the ukulele of darkness.
Yup.
1, 2 bigots on flea bags. Gorka Morka Morka. And he fit the second blaster in there, which I love. 2
Nice.
blasters. I don't know.
It's hard to call between the 2, right?
No, I'm gonna.
really?
Paul's getting better, and this salamander list honestly reminds me of something I would produce when I was drunk. Because the
Well,
magic
that's not
items,
a stamp of approval, then, is it? Jeez.
the magic
Wow.
items are all over the place. The Sparkstone
Yeah.
on the Lancers, I don't like that at all. Nimble on movement 7. I'll be honest, Chris Kastner kind of sold me a little bit on that.
I like that, honestly. I like the nimble on that.
I wasn't crazy about it until I played him. I like it a lot more after that.
You get a lot of utility out of that 14-inch move that a lot of people don't see.
You absolutely do.
Being that height.
Some of the, I don't know. Yeah, I've got to go with Paul on this one. I am not crazy about this salamander list. But Justin, I will wander by your table and let you tell me how wrong I am. And I'm going to call this for Paul 14-6.
See, I'm thinking along the same lines. Like I have a hard time seeing what this list is supposed to do with the salamanders. It doesn't mean that they can't do it or won't do it, but
I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, Paul's list just seems like it's there in an ability to deal with what Justin's putting on the table. Then again, those salamanders can be hard to crack. So I could honestly go like an 11 or 12 point win either way. If Justin just shocks the hell out of us and has all these crazy gimmicks that he's going to pull off with those item combinations, great. I think the Sparkstone would be all right. I just don't think Paul has a lot of targets for your Sparkstone. So it's kind of a wasted point there. Maybe in later games it'll pay off. So yeah, I'm going to go Paul. I'm going to give Paul like an 11 or a 12 just because they're hard to kill.
I've got Paul with a 13.
Okay.
I know Paul likes fairly straightforward lists where basically he can just point it at the enemy and march forward and kill stuff.
Well, that's what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, if Justin can outsmart him and pull out some tricks, he can give him a good run for his money. But I think Paul, if you find if there's something in there that we're not quite seeing, and pull something out like that, then he can probably catch Paul off guard a little bit.
Cool.
I think it's going to be close. I think, again, it's going to come down to a little bit of terrain and kind of the last few turns. But I'm going to give a slight edge to Paul, but it's only going to be like an 11 or a 12. I think it's going to be
Paul has played my lizards a fair amount.
Oh, he has? Okay,
yeah,
so he knows kind of how to take it apart.
Well, he knows what he should be doing. I don't think he's beaten it yet, but he knows what he should do.
Well, maybe I want to change my vote. I don't know.
There's no Comodons. I can't give any respect to that list.
It's such a one-track mind.
I love those Comodons.
Yes, you do. 23? Are we on 23 already?
I think we are.
23. We're at the very last table.
The last Schnell.
Yes, so Papa Luke Schnell against Kenzie Vaught.
All right, I've got the Elder Schnell's list. He's got orcs with goblin allies, and he's got at least drop-wise more allies than he has units. Running orcs with goblin allies. He's got a horde of trolls, 2 troops of Fleabag Rider Sniffs, 2 sharp stick throwers, 2 whiz, and a giant. Those are his allies. That is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 allied drops.
He fit all of that in that amount of points?
Love it.
Holy shit.
He has 2 hordes of axe
fucking way
for his orcs.
That was 625 points? Are you kidding me?
I didn't do the math. I'm not a list checker.
No, well, that's way over 625.
You guys may want to talk to him about that because that's a lot of drops.
It's 25% allies, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can orcs take trolls as well?
They can, but you wouldn't see them clicked into the goblin section of the allies.
I think that may be what happened.
I think that's what's going on.
Okay.
Allied trolls that are not supposed to be allied.
That makes more sense.
Because that's about 400 points.
You read off like 8 units. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Without the trolls in there, it's like 550. So that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think the trolls are supposed to be not allied. So I'll shift them down. He has 2 troops of Fleabag Rider Sniffs, 2 sharp stick throwers, 2 whiz, and a giant. So he's only got 7 allied drops.
Well, wait. No, he can't. God, I'm sorry. Sorry not to nitpick, but he can't do that either, right? Because the SNIFs were
Can't
troops.
unlock. Yes,
Yeah,
you
there are
are
no
correct.
unlocks. Yeah. He's either over points or he's out of unlocks.
All right,
Dude.
Luke, we got
Back to the
talk.
drawing board, everybody.
Did those lists come in through Easy Army?
Yeah, but Easy Army doesn't know if you're like what your ally rules are, so they're
It
not
doesn't
going to
pay
limit you
attention
on
to
that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It'll call you on like certain items, and it'll call you in your core section, like when you're doing your normal army. If you try and add characters, but you don't have the unlocks. But
Yeah.
as far as the ally version goes, he's got those 2 hordes of trolls there. So it's like, oh well, you've got all these unlocks, you can use them. It's not going to call him and say, well, these are your allies, because it doesn't know. It doesn't have a way of differentiating.
Yep.
So that's why it did that.
All right. Well,
Luke.
Luke's going to be going up against Kenzie, who unfortunately also has a list that needs some adjustments. So, Jeff, shame on you, son.
This is why you guys got put on last table.
So,
I think the loser of this game is your list checkers.
yes.
Or the winners.
So she has the Kindred Archers. She has a regiment with the Heart-Seeking Chant, and then she's got a horde with the Brew of Keen-Eyedness. So that's the one that needs adjusting.
There you go.
And then she's got some Hunters of the Wild with the Brew of Strength, a horde of Forest Chamblers with the Wine of Elvenkind, a troop of the Silver Breeze Cav with the Chant of Hate, a regiment of the Stormwind Cav with the Caterpillar, a horde of Draken Riders with the Brew of Sharpness. She's got Argus Rodinar, an army standard bearer on a horse with the Scrying Gem, a Elven Mage with Bane Chant Fireball and the Amulet, and then another Mage with Bane Chant Lightning Bolt and the Inspiring Talisman. Both of them are mounted. She has a Master Hunter with a Pussycat and the Jar of the Four Winds, and a Tree Herder with the Blade of the Beast Slayer. And I'm pretty sure that she was kind of limited on her models and had to somehow get it up to 2,500 points.
Yeah,
So
that's what it sounds like.
Odd mix of items in here.
You guys want to hear the rest of Luke's? Because he's got a bunch of orcs too.
Yeah, I want to hear the orc side of it.
He's got 2 hordes of axe, a regiment of Morax, a Kudger on a slasher, a Kudger on a chariot, Gakagamak, a war drum. And then he may or may not have 2 hordes of trolls.
So the winner is the person that gets a fixed list in first. And I am them both.
I can't call this
So we
one.
take
Luke's
it at
going to have
face.
to revise a ton of stuff.
Yeah, Luke's is a mess.
So I heard something in Kenzie's list that made me laugh. She's got the Jar of Four Winds and a cat. So is she planning on launching that cat an extra 12 inches at somebody? Is that what that's for?
Possibly.
Is that because the cat's it's a normal throwing weapon, right? So
No, it's got a bow as well.
It's got the bow, but I'm more worried about her shooting
yes.
the cat with the Jar of Four Winds.
She has a pussy launcher.
Stuffing that cat in the fucking jar. And just...
Someone's going to let the cat out of the bag.
Long range pussy. All right.
It's a deep tunnel.
Oh lordy. Golly, I don't know how often Luke plays. Again, I'm gonna guess Kenzie doesn't get to play that often.
Well, if she does get to play, she's playing Hambone, so there's her competition.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I was going with that. Luke is just one of those players that doesn't play forever and still surprises the hell out of you with what he can pull off. So is Kenzie. It's honestly a toss-up because they both have lists that make you scratch your head or are jacked. So my wife wants me to vote for Kenzie, so I'm going to vote for Kenzie. Sorry, Luke. I'll see you on game 5 when we end up playing each other on the bottom table.
Honestly, no. I'll be honest. Luke's got a decent list when he fixes it.
Well, you don't know what it's going to look like.
That depends on how he fixes it. He can't use any of his allies right now.
That's what I'm saying.
It's got a decent list if it's at like 1,850 points.
Well, Kenzie's will be fixed shortly. She has been Jonette on the spot.
She's
I don't know
probably
what that
watching the
means.
stream with Hambone.
No, I just texted her. Yeah, they're probably masturbating to it.
I did take that herd list earlier, so I
God,
wouldn't be the
shit.
first to do it.
Lord, I don't want to think about them sitting in front of the computer doing that. Shame on you,
They found out
anybody
my
that's
flying
masturbating
pussy
right
trick.
now.
Probably the dude that showed up in the After Dark last week with rubber bands on his unmentionables.
What?
Wait, what? All right,
You guys should log
time
into
out. I'm gonna hear
Counter
a story.
After Dark.
Some dude wandered into
apparently
counter
they
charge.
just set up. This is now the second time we've had him log in before completely naked wearing glass nipple clamps. Logged in with rubber bands on his dong. Within minutes of the link going up.
Do you know like who this guy is?
We know he's Asian.
Does he paint?
You know he's
No,
Asian
no.
because why? He didn't
Well,
use a
he's
lot of
working on
rubber
his-
bands.
I guess we saw his face. I don't know. I've missed both of these.
Oh, so he's actually painting too. Like he just shows up naked and
No.
paints with you.
He's working
'Cause
on
that'd
his
be way
stroke.
cooler. Well, he's stroking something, right?
He is not painting.
Oh my God!
Well, that's a great counter charge commercial right there. You get on counter charge after
He's
dark.
putting After
You may
Dark
see
in
nipple
After
clamps or a dong wrapped in rubber bands. Fucking
So
shit!
come on and paint with us, guys, because you never know who's going to show up.
You never know what you
We're
might
owed
see.
cameos now.
It was Ed. That's who it was.
Cheers.
Fuck me. Okay.
So- If
So
I
this is
derailed-
completely derailed.
Did everybody get their call in for that last table?
There's no call here. They're both jacked up. We'll see what happens.
All right.
I will say this: it will be a fun game regardless,
Oh,
knowing
no
the
shit.
two of them. I will lean towards Luke because I think he's going to have more chaff, and I don't think Kenzie's going to be able to deal with it all.
Gotta get a fucking
That's
legal
my
list
call,
first.
regardless of the win.
Here's the funny part: is I know from experience that if Kenzie does beat the shit out of Luke, that one, she will get him a beer, and two, she will give him a consolation hug at the end of it. Because I was on the receiving end of that bullshit.
All right. So we'll do a quick rundown on some of the placings that we do. We've got overall best general and player's choice. I figured paint, that's up to you guys. So there's no sense in even talking about paint with somebody that's in the cast right now.
Fuck
But-
you, Ryan.
Who do you guys like for player's choice?
I've noticed that there are a lot of people who will vote for the newer armies. So if they've seen an army at several GTs, they may not vote for that, even if it is a great-looking army.
I do that.
So I
do
think
that.
that if there's a really nice-looking army out there that people haven't seen before, I think that one will be the one that kind of jumps out there that people might grab onto. So not knowing what news coming, I don't know if I can really make a good guess. I think something like Q's army might pull something because it's unique, it's different, and it's pretty well modeled. He will probably get a few votes. Yeah, you know, some a-hole like Ryan will probably grab a few votes.
A few.
Only because he comes with 40 pounds of plaster.
Goddamn display boards.
Yep.
Fuck that shit.
I'm not doing that again, by the way.
Oh, you're not bringing it? Cool.
Oh,
Or you're
I'm
not
bringing
going to
it
make it
this
the
time,
next
yeah.
time. I gotcha.
Next army is not going on something that fucking heavy.
I'll tell you who I think, and this is just because he did really well up in Minnesota. I think John Green's army is going to get a lot of votes. The basing isn't the best, but when you look at the army and the way it fits together and the theme of it, it's going to be pretty fucking popular. So I would not be shocked if he takes a player's choice, a first or a second.
See, I wouldn't have even caveated that statement because I've seen him swap around a lot of models.
But have you seen this army?
No. What I'm saying is by caveating it, you are potentially setting people's bias.
Well, I'm just saying who I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's who I'm going to end up voting for. But I've seen it. The only thing that I would do more to it is and I told him that I was like, I think your basing could use a little improvement, but it's too late. He can't rip them all off the base and redo it. So it looks good. It looks good regardless of basing. You'll see.
Well, we do have one person listening to this, and that's Aaron Chapman.
We got 8 people listening to this.
All right. So are we calling other players' choices here? We got
Tim Delmas. Somebody threw him out, right?
Yep.
Tim was brought up. I remember Tim had some really good dwarf armies a couple of years ago with some beautiful boarding.
Cool.
Yeah, I know he's been working on getting his army multi-based. So he's got a little bit more work to do, but he's planning on having it done in time.
I think Jordan Lawrence could be in the mix too. He's got a really dynamic Twilight Kin, and the basing looks really good also. So just throwing that out there. Let's jump over to Best General. I think some of the ones seem really obvious. Outside of Aaron Chapman and maybe Dustin Howard, any other favorites for Best General?
I'm looking.
Stalkers.
Mark Taylor's Night Stalkers is solid.
Mark Taylor, yeah, that's a good one too.
I'm really looking forward. Dustin is going to end up matched up with Aaron Chapman at some point, or Brad McKay, one of those two lists. And that Dust list versus their Fast Smash list, I'm really interested to see how they work out.
Yeah, the field's just so wide open this year.
I could see Coquit getting back into the mix. Depending on matchups, Todd could do well because he's been playing pretty consistently.
Or even Tim Gleese could
Tim
pull
Gleese.
in there.
Every time I say Tim Gleese, he always messes up. So I'm not going to say Tim Gleese this year. I want him to surprise me.
I love Tim's list. I really, really do. There's a couple lists that we've looked at tonight that are the rock to those scissors.
Yeah, but he has to run into them. I mean,
that's the thing.
A lot of matchups.
So much of the time, it's the gauntlet you run.
I'm thinking maybe even Kyle's list. Kyle Timberlake coming out from California might be able to pull something out there for General.
Gotcha. Especially getting a free 20 against John Bailey the first round. It's good help. Cool. So the last little progression is overall. Any favorites for overall this year?
I'm going to, you know what? My overall, oh man, there's some really good possibilities here. See, you got the obvious one with the rock hard list between Brad and Aaron, which are probably our two field favorites based on both past performance and the list that they're bringing. Rock solid, great generals.
Yeah, but the question comes down to paint. Like, do they outpaint enough to
vault
anybody that may sneak up on them? Sports is kind of a weird.
It's still a factor.
It is.
Especially for overall. And in that respect, I may give it to Dustin.
See, I was kind of thinking that in the back of my head too, but I haven't seen Dustin's army, so I don't know if it's painted or how it looks. So it's kind of hard to call, right?
I haven't seen the actual army on the table myself.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. And I think that list is going to hurt some feelings.
Yeah, true.
That's a good point too.
I mean, depending on Aaron's paint, obviously he seems like he's a favorite. Same with Brad. Brad's paint, if he could be a favorite too. I haven't seen Mark's newest iteration of the Army, but I could go with Mark Taylor.
Mm.
Jeff Franz is in the mix too. We got a lot of players that are in the mix.
Yep.
It'll be a
Todd
good
Serpico, too.
it'll be a good run.
Yeah, I think even someone like Jason Johnson, because his Army is going to be painted well because his
It
brother
always is,
probably
yeah.
painted it, and so he's a top 10 player, usually just showing up out of the blue. So I wouldn't be surprised
And he
if
always
he's up
gets the
there as
sports
well.
votes too. Yeah,
He
that's
always
a good
gets
pick.
sports. You said Kevin did really well at Lady of the Lake too, Mark.
He did.
What
do
I've
well.
seen of his paint is pretty good. And
It
he's
is.
a
It's good.
very, very nice person. Soft scores sometimes matter in these things.
Yeah, I think in Kevin's case, his dwarves are going to have a hard time chasing down 20s. So he may be at a number disadvantage there coming into general. But the paint and the sports, I think he could make up for it. So that's a good pick too. Cool. Any others?
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just totally out of the blue comes out and wins this thing. Somebody kind of unexpected that gets a couple of good matchups. Somebody who's obviously a good player, but somebody who, hasn't really traditionally been up at the top. I think, somebody might just pull something out because I see the field as being so wide open this year.
Cool.
I'll be honest. I
Mhm.
really wish Tim Delmas had played more or played with more varied opponents because I really like that halfling list. That's the first I'd seen it. But experience, I think, is going to tell the tale there.
It always seems to on day 2.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's a couple of scenarios that will kind of test some people's mettle as well. So I think that will catch some people off guard too, especially one of them, which we're debating even whether we're going to release it ahead of time because it is so different.
Nah,
You know what?
Screw that. If you're not going to release any of them, don't release one.
They will have Rick. They'll have 2 days with it, Friday night and Saturday night. I'll let everybody know right now. Game 4, Dreadball, will be first match Sunday morning. If you don't play it beforehand, at least read it over because it is completely different from anything you've played before.
Now I'm interested. I can't wait to see this. Because we got a lot of shit for our International Campaign Day scenario where it was like basically tag. And people were like, well, this doesn't. And we were like, it's a campaign, man. It's not supposed to be competitive. So I'm interested to see this scenario.
This
It has been play tested to death, at least.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah, play testing aside, unfortunately, you still got to wrap a strategy around how to play it.
Yeah. Cool.
So if you don't like thinking, or if you're going to be really hungover on Sunday morning, you're going to be in for a world of hurt.
Well,
5 opponents now.
You want to challenge your game 4 opponent.
oh, because they're only doing 5 games.
Oh,
So,
that's,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Just make sure you and I are low on battle points, Ryan, and then you and I can challenge. Yeah.
Got it, Mark. I've already set the stage for that.
Yeah, I think I've done a pretty good job of that in my list building phase.
Yeah, but not with your game 1 challenge. You haven't.
I think he still got the edge on me. I think we all voted that way. So, all righty. Any parting thoughts, fellas? I think we can wrap it up here. We've done right at time.
It's time for some Game of Thrones.
That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah, I've got a DVR. That's probably where I'm going to be wandering off to. What time is it? Late-ish.
10:30.
Oh,
Someone
Well,
aim your
yeah.
your camera at the screen for me.
Ooh, what?
What did you want?
Someone aim your camera at your TV for me.
Oh, because you don't have
I
HBO.
don't have HBO.
No, that sucks.
I'll narrate it for you, Ryan.
You're gonna get to see some nipple clamps and some rubber bands on testicles and stuff.
I'm hoping.
If you stay looking at my feed.
Let's say I've had just enough liquor. We can make that happen, Ryan.
Yeah, he's not joking.
Speaking of mental images we don't need.
I need a ruling.
For those-
You got to pull a rubber band.
All right, everybody. I'm looking forward to a great Bayou this year. It's if you got any problems with the scenarios when you come in, I'm the person to talk to. Don't bother Rick with it.
Asshole.
Yep. Go ahead and start bitching now.
God,
I'm
Jeff,
looking
what's
forward.
up
It should be a really good time.
Yep.
Really?
There
I
will be
want to come to think.
there will be a reminder email coming out sometime during the week. Just make sure you don't forget anything and all that other stuff. So be on the lookout for that one last reminder, probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Yep. A couple last minute things. If you are new to Bayou or GTs in general, let us know when you sign in Friday night, and we'll be happy to take you through some of the swiftier things that some of your opponents may or may not pull on you.
Corkscrew.
I'd love to demonstrate the corkscrew and other stuff that you may or may not see over the weekend. As well, we'll try to get people that are new to the GT scene to meet each other, as well as some of the vets, and we're looking to make sure that we grow this community.
Sounds good.
Can't wait to see y'all.
Yep. And by all means, feel free to wander over and check out the bolt action games when they're going on, because they won't finish until much later on Saturday. So come around and kibitz the final tables for Saturday's tournament, and they'll be happy to kind of show you what that game is all about. It's a fun one. I'll kind of be more concentrating on that one and then helping out Jeff on the Kings of War as needed.
That's funny. We're going to put the fantasy football draft right in the middle of the bolt action.
Are we
Yeah.
really? Oh my God.
You haven't seen the room layout, so
Those poor bastards. And I like bolt action. It's the same guy who wrote the Kings of War rule set did bolt action, so the games actually go together really well. A lot of the same mechanics. So I'm definitely gonna jump over there and watch that. But if we're gonna do the draft right among them.
well, the bolt action should be done about 7 o'clock. So
Oh, okay. All right. So we won't
you
be
guys
doing it.
done about 5:36, and they'll be done about 7. So there'll be just a little bit overlap.
One other reminder, Rick is going to be running the Giant Bash this year again. So that will be there for anybody that hasn't partaken or has enjoyed it in the past. Please let him know.
Jump up
Bring
and
your Barbies.
down.
Jump up and down.
All righty, fellas. We will see you guys in like 5 days.
Yes. 5 days at the venue.
Thank
Travel
you.
safe.
See y'all later.
Houston is coming.